Hello everybody, and welcome back to some lovely WARNO action. As we are back for some more WARNO League, and this time we're going to Division 2 again. As per request by channel points, we're gonna go into some Tanner games, and I'm once more joined by the lovely Chloride here.
Hello, everybody. I am extremely excited over getting to cast these PUA Tanner games, considering how last season some of the best games that we got were actually with Tanner. I'm not sure if they were in the second division, though. Did Tanner drop out of the first division?
Yeah.
Do you remember?
Tanner dropped from Division 1 into Division 2. He fought hard last season, but he got last in his group, and that meant that he had to go down into Division 2 this season. So we'll see if he can fight his way back up. He for sure is one of the favorites in Division 2. But SnowWolfie, really high record all in the group state, in the ranked ladder, and I'm really excited to see what they can bring in the group stage as well.
Yeah, SnowWolfie actually a viewer of my stream, so let's call and name them the upcoming champion, possibly of Division 2 while we're at it. And but in all seriousness, I think it's going to be interesting to see how Tanner is going to be released from the shackles and the expectations of Division 1, and going to be able to maybe test the limits of the meta a bit more with players that are still absolutely competitive, like SnowWolfie, but don't necessarily have the same Terminator-like ability to challenge them on their mistakes as you would get with some of the very, very hardcore Division 1 players.
Yes, and we have a pretty interesting matchup between two mechanized forces here as well, with SnowWolfie bringing around the 27th guards, whilst on the left side, Tanner coming around with a German classic, 2nd Panzer Grenadier, with a decent amount of Fallschirmjägers here actually on the start. A unit that we just learned from Voice Me, it's not that great. He actually even cut it out of all his decks. Tanner, not a believer in that strategy, starting with 6 Fallschirmjägers here, and 2 Fallschirmjäger Führers nonetheless as well, both in the north. So one immediately going for Zulu, one going for Lima, one more CV in the south. Triple CV here, really going for the early lead in points.
Yeah, when it comes to using the Fallschirmjägers, there absolutely are cases in which they're not value, especially not worth taking in large amounts. Too many people do forward deployment openers where they basically buy a line of infantry but end up paying extra for it and not really getting anything out of the forward deployment component that they're paying extra for. But when it comes to challenging something like 27th, which is a kind of a slower division when it comes to the 27th has some really powerful recon units, such as the Razvedka BMP-2 with the Motorrazvedkas, and the Spetsrazvedkas are a large LRS-equipped shock squad. But with all of these recon units, you end up paying even more extra than with the Fallschirmjägers. On some maps, such as this one, on some matchups, such as this one, the forward deployment component may actually pay up if exploited properly. So I'm going to be excited. I think the two Fallschirmjäger Führer buys kind of speak of Tanner wanting to push to the back point of Alpha as soon as possible, and with the 2 Fallschirmjäger Milans, hopefully this can be done after getting just a 1 or 2 kills on the reasonably expensive vehicles that 27th is bringing out.
Yeah, AA-wise, Tanner also coming in with interesting stuff here. Zwilling flak guns here coming up. The 20mm autocannons, together with some Eyehawks and some Gepards in the north as well, though. So Tanner doesn't want to get hit by any Mi-24Ks roaming around, and really might even bring them a bit as infantry fire support, as they will unload soon in the north. And yeah, here we go. Spetsrazvedka coming into town. Fallschirmjäger already there, but a couple of Pulmachiki here as defensive blocking detachments, and one Motorstrelke with a BMP-3 already on the way as well, and SnowWolfie setting up for an artillery gameplay with the FSP in the rear.
Yeah, the 2nd Panzer Grenadier really is annoying to play against because you have to contend both for their ability to bring out and expendable units in large amounts to get good engagements with decent enough units, and then take those same engagements again because they can reinforce their units and rebuy them for reasonably cheap. But also, you gotta contend with the fact that they can do the forward deployment opener. They're not the best forward deployment units. They have the 7.62 weaponry, and they're not really that special, but unless your enemy can engage them efficiently with vehicles, they're going to be around there, and they're going to buy a lot of time for a lot of reinforcements, as well as a very varied and flexible mechanized force.
Yeah,
Now,
veterancy
rockets
going up pretty decently here as well, but the first Grad already coming in, already getting for the reload as well. The Fallschirmjägers before were winning the duel. BTRs and BMPs shot by Milan 2s. So the infantry of the Soviets was on its own here. But the Grad helping out with a lot of stun and decent amount of damage onto the Fallschirmjägers, and now the Pulmachikis and Motostrelkis should be able to clean up at least some of the Fallschirmjägers here. But the first Panzer Grenadiers try to help out as well. Para Milan in the north goes down. The south is really boring, like a strong defensive setup here from SnowWolfie. That shouldn't be too easy to punish. But, Mehrzweckwaffe! Ooh, that was a sweet first run there.
Ooh,
but it goes down to the double Tunguska. Good investment there by SnowWolfie. Still a bit of a tempo advantage here now for Tanner. That could lead to the entrenchment of the whole town. Mehrzweckwaffe down, that is a good long-term thing, but in the short term, SnowWolfie now has to make sure that they have still a pivot into this town. Losing complete access to the town would be devastating.
Yeah, so I think SnowWolfie, having the Motorasvedka and the BTR and the BMP take out the Fallschirmjäger Milan up the north side of the city is tactically very crucial, because this allows spotting capacity and firing capacity at the reinforcement route. Now the Tunguskas and the BMP already are moving up to hold the north side of the town, and as long as they can hold this position, it's going to give them a way better engagement after a couple of minutes after the Soviet reinforcements arrive.
Yes, BTR is disengaging as well. Meanwhile, at the same time, the south completely silent still, but more infantry here coming in now in the north. A couple of Jaegers with 11 hit points coming in. Tanner investing into artillery as well. The first M110 on the battlefield, immediately aiming for the Pulmachiki before moving on further afterwards. Whilst the Grad re-aiming onto the Milan 2 teams of Tanner in the rear. And that's a strong target to aim for, and if the Jaegers stay where they are right now, they might get caught in the crossfire as well. That would be a really juicy hit here. I think RCV though, too close. Panzer Grenadiers there might get a kill with the Panzerfaust. No, good reaction there from SnowWolfie. The extra frontal armor of the BTR-80 saving it there from disaster.
Yeah, I think so. Now the second Grad salvo coming out and most likely taking out this Fallschirmjäger Milan. It's generally you would call this kind of a waste of 40 rocket salvo, but this is class of Xenia, so the rockets are basically free at this point. The Fallschirmjäger Führer, interestingly, getting sent to upvet the M110. This I think speaks of the fact that whatever Tanner was thinking about doing early on with the two CVs, the other CV is going in an extremely defensive location, going to buff the artillery. And so I think this is a direct transition for Tanner into a slower grinding gameplay. This is not a bad position for Tanner to do that. They have enough ATGMs here to prevent an immediate mech breakthrough, and they have the ability to keep feeding infantry to the town. But as long as this Grad exists, I think this is gonna the trading here is just gonna go badly for Tanner unless the front can be widened in some way, or the Grad, or in this case the Grads, get taken out somehow. The PA-1 is actually going to a stealth mission behind the enemy lines to try to get that. Let's see if SnowWolfie realizes this and manages to get any air defense on the back lines.
Yeah, at the same time, Leo 1A5, good hits against the Motorasvedka. Jaegers and Fallschirmjägers in the town slowly losing against the Motostrelkis there, as they are just a bit outnumbered. And the Grad fire helping out a bit as well, but 300 points advantage by now for Tanner. That's a nice little lead. It's not something massive, at this stage in the game with 33 minutes still remaining, but it is something that still allows you to say later on, oh, enemy has to be the attacker, I can just sit down and play tower defense from here on out. So still a nice thing to have for sure, but the question is, if Tanner loses the infantry in the town here, how much does he have behind that? It's not that much right now. And the bigger question is also, can SnowWolfie use their units, their infantry, the BMP3s here to make some moves as a follow-up here before Tanner can solidify the front line?
So down south, the PA 1, I think, is going to get spotted by the BTR-80. There was another stealth helicopter going on the other side. Maybe this allows SnowWolfie to realize that backline action is happening. No, but actually the helicopter manages to get out of the range. There are now 2 helicopters behind SnowWolfie's lines, and nothing outside of the BTR-80K that might shoot them down. So this might actually be take out a very crucial corner of SnowWolfie's strategy here.
Yeah, also, if Tanner just... he doesn't even have to kill the Grud, he just has to find the FOB. If he kills that, SnowWolfie most likely will struggle to keep the Grads supplied, so they will be limited afterwards. So that would be a pretty big catch already. Me-24 on the front line just barely survives after firing rockets against the Milan. The Zwilling and the Gepard not quite able to get the kill there. Ihawk not there to get the kill either. So yeah, we have Tanner fully falling back now in the north. The Gepard and the Scharfschützen should be able to escape, but it's still a bit of a troublesome situation now from Tanner to get a cohesive front line here going. Fortunately for him, SnowWolfie not with the strongest attacking force here right now. Grud's coming in.
Now,
oh, the BO helicopter. The PA 1 BO 105 here. Closing in on the Gruds. Can it find a kill? It's getting too close. It will get shut down, but it should be able to spot the FOB. And that is the big thing here now. 2 MR10s can shred that with 1 salvo. He should have been able to see that. BO from the other side actually finds a Grud. Actually might find the Me-24V. Yes, it finds the Hind on the ground. Second Grud now running away as the BO is slowly running out of ammo. Strela coming in, F-16 coming in for the strafing run here. BTR versus BO 105. The BTR should win, but the FOB is known now, and that is the massive issue. Tanner should use that and just kill it, and then the Gruds are pretty useless for the rest of the game.
Yeah, Tanner is moving up infantry to set up long-term defenses down south, also buying numerous infantry squads to fortify Lima, which is the industrial area with all the towers. There was a pretty alright push coming from SnowWolfie just a minute ago, but without any support, sending this infantry forwards would be suicide, considering how defensible these locations are. So at this point, we're going to have most likely a couple of minutes of both players waiting around, with the Tanner having built a tiny sliver, frankly, at this point of the game, of leadership in 345 points. This is something that it's not difficult to get 345 points when you have 30 minutes of gameplay left and a 27th that is transitioning into mid to late game mech with large amounts of BMP3s and T80s. But when it came to the engagements, SnowWolfie did take some bad ones. A lot of ATGMs out there did actually manage to take out BMPs, and the investment into Jaguars with the TOW-2 missiles is gonna kind of supercharge the ability, the ATGM abilities of the second. But with this single Grad and now another Akacia coming up, if the way to defend this really is ATGMs, the Sklasnapzenia, as long as it's allowed to resupply the artillery will try to work against the ATGMs. When it comes to tanks, we are not seeing Leopard 2s yet, and I don't think we're going to see them until the late game. But Leopard 2s, which Leopard 2s are kind of an offensive tank. They're very fast. They got good sights and good guns. So I think a kind of late game counterattack could happen if Tanner doesn't get crushed on Lima in the next like 20 minutes.
And the Jaegers pushing forward here now, trying to deal with the Motostrelkis.
Just so much defensive by Jägeraufklärer, sharpshooters. Now the first Leopards coming on vet 1, naturally, so not a tank spam deck. The M110s, I think, should really... there should be some kind of work against them. The M110s having the spotting capacity and firing at this Motostrelki, even though the Motostrelki are 0 vet, you can't just lose them casually for single salvos of howitzers. There's not a lot that you can do, but you can try to harass them with your grabs or something.
Milan and Jäger Panzerfaust sitting around there as well. And again, the South Jägers and Fallschirmjägers sitting now in decent defensive positions as well. So all of this is
another
working out decently.
group of 2 PA-1s has been bought. More helicopters getting sent to the back lines, maybe, or maybe Tanner just wants to hold them on reserve. But that would be a weird place to hold these helicopters in reserve.
Yeah, he was so close. He must have seen the FOB. I don't know why he doesn't go for artillerying it. Like,
maybe he saw the FOB but doesn't precisely remember where it was and didn't mark it down. That's why you use the markers, by the way.
Yeah, it's for sure a weird thing to do here, or to not do rather. Trying to counter battery the enemy now, whilst also hitting the frontline infantry, but SnowWolfie there reacting quickly. Though Tanner is really setting up the defensive lines now. Jaegers on the southern flank. One sniper also going for real line action the long way around. It's walking the whole way, so I'm not sure if it's actually gonna arrive in time to do anything. Like, walking through forests takes forever. Like, this might actually take a good 10-15 minutes for these 2 guys to actually walk there. So I'm not sure if this has a use case, but we'll see if they can find something of importance back there.
Maybe the idea is that you're going to have backline recon by the time that you do your very late game attack or something. Maybe it's supposed to spot for AT planes or helicopters or whatever you have with the second. But generally, you would like to have just a regular Aufklärer unit, because the Aufklärer get the Panzerfaust 44, which has 6 ammo and good accuracy. So you could, instead of having the sharpshooter, you could have an Aufklärer which could kill reinforcements and get points like this. So far, two artillery pieces, very close for SnowWolfie. 2 heavy mortars also most likely getting employed into smoke usage. So far as we're looking at this, neither side has basically any recon of the other side, so they are blindly firing at each other. And so far, the places in which Tanner holds their troops are maybe a little bit more predictable, because there are so many good buildings in which you can have them. So as long as SnowWolfie just keeps going down the buildings, they're going to keep on doing damage. But the fact that the West German squads are larger and the Soviet guns are weaker means that I think Tanner is on the path to winning this artillery fight. Not to mention the fact that Tanner's artillery is upvetted significantly now.
Yeah, we have a big push coming up now, though, with smoke around from SnowWolfie. BTR-80s are around, T-80s are around, a couple of BMP-3s ready to get some damage out there as well, and all of this now on the move, and there's only one Leo 2 so far around, the second one coming in now. The Milans are down to 1, so a lot of these vehicles could give good fire support now. Fallschirmjägers and Jäger Panzerfaust can hit them when they get close enough, but if SnowWolfie keeps a distance, their fire support here could really put some pressure onto Tanner.
Yeah, the Grad is ready. Both of the Acacias are ready. I think this is just seconds until the artillery or SnowWolfie starts firing. Pretty smart, in my opinion, to smoke down this predictable location when people always have either ATGMs or recon or both. That's a pretty good idea if you're trying to push this side as SnowWolfie. The SnowWolfie has also been bombarding these towers routinely, so Tanner hasn't dared to put any troops into these positions where they could gain perfect sight or perfect recon coverage. SnowWolfie so far doesn't have the kind of intelligence about the attack or that you could get if you just had a single infantry or recon unit up in the tower or the silo.
Yeah, BMP3s here now slowly moving forward. The Acacia from the rear trying to find some damage with the hits. But currently not really doing it. On the other side though, the M110s so far not perfectly on target, but they will get rid of the Spetsrat Redka. Ooh, first Spetsrat Redka going down. The other one actually in the north also in the angle, and both Spetsrat Redka falling. That's a big blow to SnowWolfie, because those strong recon units really helped with spotting ATGM teams and infantry teams that you would want to fire with your BMP3s and all your BTRs upon. Also maybe spot the rear line of heavy AT that Tanner is setting up right now with 3 Jaguars and by now 3 Leo 2A3s as well. The numbers of AT weapons here has more than quadrupled here for Tanner, from 1 Leo 2A3 to 6 strong AT units. So yeah, this is pretty scary now to push into for SnowWolfie in the north, but they could still make it through the indirect route. And oh, this is a strong Grud shot.
Yeah, there is so much supply here, ready to resupply any of the troops if they get done by artillery. But with this perfect Grad hit, a lot of these units are just getting taken out in a single salvo. The Jaguars back there can't really start moving out now that there's a Conqueror's M. The Conqueror's M has been put into a position where it can just barely hit the Jaguars if they're spotted, and the Motoras Vedka moving up. As long as this single Jaeger squad up into the silo tower gets done, I think there's going to be... Oh, and the Conqueror's M actually spotted Leopard 2 and is hitting Leopard 2 right now with artillery taking out even more of these fortified West German infantry here. I think, and you also point out that the smoke is still covering the typical location of the Fern Scharfschütze. I think this is SnowWolfie is kind of really showing us how to do a very methodical and very careful mid to late game push with 27th. All of the weaponry here is used carefully and methodically. This was obvious as we're watching reinforcements coming. We're seeing even more T-80s, even more infantry, more BMPs. So this offense is clearly happening right now. There's no way to reroute these units. If this momentum is lost, Tanner is going to be able to rebuild in a really big way, I think.
Yep, SnowWolfie's forward positions getting hit by the M110s. Tanner with really strong hits there. Conqueror's M getting shut down. A couple of important Motostrelki teams got killed off by it as well. And there is a BTR now trying to get into the zone, but there is still a Fallschirmjäger leader on the other side, and the Jägers also close into the front line of the zone again, so the BTR might be in trouble in that regard as well.
The BTR. Oh no.
Oh, it already gets sniped by the Jaguar on the side, so no +2 there for SnowWolfie, at least not for long. The zone, I think, got... Yeah, he neutralized it for a split second. I'm not quite sure why he has a +2 right now.
Is this bugged?
I think
this might be bugged.
That
what is
going on? Weird. There is a Fallschirmjäger leader in there. This is a really old bug. This bug was last seen in 2022, in early 2022 that is. Like in the early days of WARNO, there was sometimes an issue with infantry leaders being in a building and them not recapping, and it seems like this building might just barely hit the edge somewhere and not count as in because of it or something like that. I'm not sure, but...
Oh, this is a tragedy. This is a tragedy.
Okay, now
Well,
it now it
there it was.
registered.
Now
Maximum
it's over.
scale.
Now it
Yeah,
registered.
I think it might have been something about the BTR getting destroyed the very same second that it got into the zone. Maybe I've never seen anything like this. But so far it's only 66 points, so I think we can probably say that it's not game breaking. But the counter attack coming here, Tanner has built a group of Leopard 2s, 0 with Leopard 2s, following up with a bunch of Marders and having the Jaguars in the backline here. Even the Lars light rocket artillery firing at BMP3s, mostly to just drive them off at this point. But yeah, Tanner has transitioned late into late to mid game second, which means that they can also they have the larger infantry squads and they have the faster tanks when it comes to comes to this fight here. And being this close, being on the defensive, having the reinforcement route means that at this point, no way is artillery only going to drive off the West Germans from this point. They can reinforce it faster than the artillery can keep on firing. So the BMP3s needs to be crucial here. The BMP3s and the T-80s are going to be the main firepower to actually get rid of these enemy teams. And as they're doing this, the Jaguars will try to counter them on long range with their TOW2s, which single hit kill BMPs.
BO helicopters, though, getting shut down in the rear line. MiG-29s pushing back the F-16s here. Mehrzweckwaffe coming around. Oh, this might be a great run again. Okay, gets a decent amount of kills once more. It's not the perfect hit, as a couple of units got in front of it. The Mehrzweckwaffe goes down once more, so it's not the amazing trade. At the same time, some Leo 2s got shut down in the south as well, especially thanks to the Mi-24 profiting from the modern fast cocons. And the T-80BVs, they're holding out quite nicely as well. So SnowWolfie still contesting the zone. Grut helping out nicely there now as well. But no CV right now around to really contest the zone, and that is an issue. SnowWolfie currently not gaining any points. It's still 60 minutes to go, so SnowWolfie seemingly trying to go for a full-on victory. But the M110s at the same time still grinding away here. Eaglas and Conquerors, everything standing still, immediately gets a big artillery hitting it. And that is a big trouble for our player in red right now, because they're out of infantry. Like, there's one Superior on the front line right now. And that is not good enough to support your BMP3s and T-80BVs.
Yeah, and there's just a small little misplay, but SnowWolfie actually had a fast-moving reserve commander in the form of the BTR-80 down there with the grads. And in my opinion, if you lose your only frontline commander, your reserve commander should move down and be ready to exploit any pushes that you get. But in this case, the reserve commander was kept on the back line, upvetting the single grad.
Yeah, 120mm mortars coming around here as well. Same time, south completely silent, as we see more BRDMs and more infantry and more BMP3s coming around for SnowWolfie. 120mm mortar already going down as well. We have a Lars as now on the battlefield for Tanner as well, so rocket artillery being part of the package now too. And it seems like Tanner will have enough supply, most likely packed, to keep them running as well. So this for sure is an issue here for SnowWolfie, as they still need to catch up another 200 to 400 points. 400 if they want to win, 200 points if they want to get a draw. So this is still far from easy here for the red player, even though they have brought in good combined arms now. BMP3s and T-80BVs and good AA, good helicopters. But the infantry just gets shot away every single time.
So do you think that because the methodical approach of SnowWolfie looked really competent and looked like it was working out, but do you think that the M110s have just been grinding down every single infantry unit one by one, and now at 13 minutes or 14 minutes left in the game, we're seeing that the end result of the M110s being mega value, and SnowWolfie playing this slower grinding methodical tactic, that the Tanner's tactic has just kind of hard countered it. That even with the methodical approach, even with keeping the T-80s alive, just taking out every single infantry squad with singular salvos of fast reloading, close deployed heavy howitzers, and then having a buttload of supply units being able to quickly heal and revive basically the soldiers defending the frontline positions. For those who don't know, if you have multitudes of supply vehicles, your units will repair and resupply faster. So having these units basically concentrated in the middle of like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different recon vehicles around here, not to mention the ones that have been taken out by the grass and the artillery, so just the sheer numbers of this kind of World War One attrition situation have been going in favor of the second Panzergrenadier.
And yeah, the 120mm mortars coming around, T80BV being pushed back by the M110s, coming in with a couple of shots, and the Leo plus Jaguar plus Marder defensive line here is just such a wall by now. And I don't know what SnowWolfie at this point still can do to try to break it. It's a classic two legs games in that regard. Tanner always has been good on this map, and he really used the advantage that second Panzergrenadier got to get a point lead and then set up the defensive, did fall back in decent speed, like not losing too much, but also not giving too much room too fast to SnowWolfie, so that he could reset a new defensive line. And he hold that like a real champ. MR10s doing a lot of damage, and they are ready here to fire again, and this might be pretty rough. Tunguska's and supply trucks already getting hit. Supply trucks going down. Tunguska does survive for now, so does the BMP3, so it's not complete disaster, but it's still another slowdown moment here at the moment where SnowWolfie is running out of time.
Now Tanner readying for the coup de grace with the Leopard leader, some Aufklärers as well as a Gepard moving down south to X-ray. So far Tanner doesn't really have any recon info because the sharpshooter moving on the back lines was taken out by by a passing BTR, I think. But so far there's not really anything that can stop them. Of course, the Motoras Bedgown close range can rout any tanks that get into firing range, but with just a small amount of air support, I think the X-ray position is going to go for Tanner if Tanner wants it.
Yeah, BMP3 engaging the Jäger Panzerfaust in the south as well. Motostrelkis and co holding out. We have a lot of planes flying around trying to hit F-16s, but not getting the job done. T8M on the battlefield, though we have IHawk positions still on the other side, so that modernized Su-25 most likely won't be able to do anything here either. And at the same time, frontline Jägeraufklärer going down and so on, that is all nice, but SnowWolfie trying to set up the Wrecking Ball force. I just don't know if there's any Wrecking Ball possible that, even with a 30 US or so, that could break through what Tanner has assembled here by now.
Yeah, we just a minute ago we saw Tanner move out the bunch of the Jaegers to take out forward positions, and this showed that SnowWolfie still had a lot of long range damage that they can use to engage the enemy. But so far, that's not really even if that's an overextension, it's such a tiny overextension. The Tanner would have to move out so many troops at the same time and engage so badly for SnowWolfie to be able to counterattack through to Lima at this point. SnowWolfie not giving up, buying out the Saperis, getting some Conquerors M up close, but unfortunately Jaegers will likely be able to spot them, and the Conquerors M being in a really bad position because of this infantry. Though let's actually see. Yes, the Conquerors M is spotted. Oh, that is tragic. The not even being able to get some free hits with the Leopard blob moving back.
Yeah, T8Ms still flying in the rear. Saperis coming in. We have The MP3s coming in higher numbers, TADPVs, like the combined arms is still there, but some
Oh,
important units
look at
always get
Tanner's
picked off,
reinforcement.
just like now, with the Conqueror's M going down to the M110s, the MP3 being pushed back by the Lars, and there's just so many strong combined arms units here on the side of Tanner as well. TADBV trying to clean up some Jäger Aufklärer, but I just don't see how. 8 minutes to go, and still 280 points difference. Still no maneuvering in the south. Even there, Tanner by now has Leo 2A3s and a decent amount of forces. And oh my goodness, Tanner flexing the muscle now. Like, this is the final push coming up from Tanner here, or at least another wall of units to break through with 8 Panzer Grenadiers with Martyrs, plus 2 more Leo 1A5s coming to the south now. And they could do both. They could either just run into X-Ray or just make an impenetrable fortress. Both would be successful, I think, at this point. And SnowWolfie setting up for the push in the north now. I still see the chances as really slim for him to get any tick here going on, even with so many T80BVs.
Yeah, a pro tip for anybody playing a second Panzer Grenadier: if you happen to be floating points, just buy a convoy of Marder Panzer Grenadiers and just send them somewhere. They're cheap enough, well armored enough, and have good enough damage that they're gonna be a problem no matter where you put them, and they're gonna do some damage no matter what they're gonna face. So never good to float points unless you're specifically preparing to buy specific airplanes. And the floating points can be just F moved to the other side of the map, forcing your enemy to deal with them rather than have the points locked up in your wallet.
Yeah, and we have the big push here now for 10 in the south, and that should most likely finish the job. The M110s did just such good work throughout this game, stopping SnowWolfie whenever they were somewhat close for getting through, and the Leo 2A3s got preserved well enough, the Jaguars got preserved well enough that all the replaceable infantry on the front line now can go away, and the Leos can just run through here. TADBV is the big target right now. Tunguska going down. A couple of Leos get shut down as well, but at the same time the push in the south is basically unstoppable, followed up by a lot of Martyrs, and those Martyrs even just going for the flank now through the center, trying to get into the enemy rear line to be as annoying as possible, and there's little that can stop that. SnowWolfie still trying to go through the north with good smoke play, but it's kind of desperate.
Yeah, the T8 could technically come and take out this this Panzer leader down south, and then technically maybe good enough engagements, the command tanks could drive into Lima, but it's 5 minutes left, and the Martyrs have just reached the center. Martyrs are getting fired by the Raspetka BMP2, which is doing some good damage, but even then, the Martyrs are just supposed to be a problem. The Martyrs are supposed to intercept reinforcements. The Martyrs are supposed to secure the last couple of minutes here, and SnowWolfie's attention most likely is spent in trying to get to Lima in this very second here.
Yes, and at the same time, Tanner enters the south now, will capture the whole zone, and even if SnowWolfie gets into Lima, which is about to happen here right now, it won't change the point situation. And this counter push in the south from Tanner was pretty genius that way. Like in the north, he could have thrown in more units potentially, but they could all have been neglected with, like stopped with smoke, stopped with artillery. Spreading out your units a bit so that they can't all be stopped by one good artillery salvo or blocked off by one good smoke wall is pretty good idea. And yeah, Tanner even going up a bit higher in points, whilst also making sure that SnowWolfie just can't do that anymore in the last 4 minutes of this game.
Yeah, this is the weakness of units, of divisions with large amounts of expensive units, such as 27th and such as 3rd and such as 8th. These units, when you build up enough affordable units and use them to effectively gain map control, and then just get good enough engagements, good enough airstrikes, or good enough artillery strikes to actually beat the expensive units, you can start slowly snowballing. We saw Tanner only engage with the units that they can afford to lose, which is exactly what you should do here. And now that we're going to look at the kills and losses, just look at the goddamn artillery. Like, this is insane. Like, yeah, exactly. Just only take the fights that are preferential to you, and in this case, the artillery fights were extremely preferential. Tanner.
Yeah, getting rid of all the mortal strike keys. The mortal strike keys going down 2 hit because they only have 7 hit points, really working against them there. And the Metzwerkwaffe cleaning off a lot of other infantry positions as well, and that just left SnowWolfie without recon, without protection with vision against enemy ATGM teams and so on, and that allowed TADBVs and especially the BMP3s to be taken out time and again as well. And it once more shows that on maps where you can't really use the BMP3 on full-on max range, it starts to struggle. Like 27th has issues lately in ranked and in tournament games especially. And that is another game here where we see the 27th lose, and it has been a while since we have seen them winning.
Yeah, I think the popularization of the lighter ATGMs, such as the Milan ones, has really played a part into this. And also the fact that people's gameplay has slowly changed away from mech blobs. Mech blobs are very powerful when you allow the mech blob to set the course of the game, but these strategies of actively kind of poking and prodding all around the map, of as we saw Tanner do, having these prepared defenses in which in which any kind of an engagement uh, against the Soviet armor was prefaced by the fact that there were already groups of ATGM Jaguars and groups of Leopards waiting on the backside, and it is possible to prepare against the BMP3s. And I think the reputation of the BMP3 as a super powerful unit, which is deserved, has come from the fact that people just didn't really respect the amount of power that those things can bring out. Now that people are preparing to fight against the BMP3s, preparing to use the light ATGMs en masse and prioritizing them as targets, suddenly the fact that these things are pretty expensive is starting to hurt the 27th players. I say as a 27th player.
Yeah, and it will be interesting to see what SnowWolfie can do here in game number 2, as this is not over. SnowWolfie had some really good moves there as well, and we will see if they can win against Tanner in game 2, or if Tanner gets the first W of the season for themselves. And yep, short break, guys. We're gonna be back with that, so don't you run away. And then we're gone into game number 2 here. here we are, game number 2, Tanner up 1-0, and we have a pretty different map this time around. Airport Duel, a map that is way wider in the front line and has way more tank action than Two Legs usually has. And we have a Soviet on Soviet duel here with the 39th on the side of Tanner versus the OG Soviet division, the 79th Guards Tank Corps on the side of SnowWolfie here. And that should be quite the interesting game as well, with Tanner bringing around a lot of light forces here already. So, what do you think about Tanner's setup here so far?
So Tanner is playing 39th, which is the significantly more versatile one of these two, the lighter infantry division instead of the heavy tank division of the 79th. And the 39th gets a lot of little tricks. It gets the fast transported, the very fast OSA SAMs, which can move and keep up with even the fastest troops at 108 kph. They get the Fagot ATGMs in large amounts, which also deploy fast. And then they have the UAZ SPG-9s, the cars with the recoilless rifles on the back of them. All of these kind of speak of Tanner trying to gain ground really fast by not having a lot of infantry. Instead of having infantry, getting these ATGMs, getting these recoilless rifles, and getting these SAMs into close positions, and then maybe following this kind of land grab by starting to buy infantry to contest these areas, because you do need a bunch of infantry if you want to contest Echo or Zulu, and even on Foxtrot you gotta have a couple of infantry units out there to hold these buildings. We're seeing a way more standard opener coming here from SnowWolfie with a single tank, 2 Tunguskas, 2 IFVs, and a smoke mortar most likely to cover their advance, likely trying to attack the Foxtrot Echo angle, trying to build up an early tank supremacy with the ISD-29, the very fast P-80 variant. And with a reasonable amount of Spetsnaz crews and Motorasvedkas, I think this is going to work out all right, as long as whatever SnowWolfie is doing doesn't walk immediately into kind of the trap of numerous Storm heavy ATGM launchers, numerous Fagot light ATGM launchers, and numerous SPG-9 close-range recoilless rifles. But Tanner really doesn't have any offensive capacity in this, so this fast deployed defense is really just it's one more showing of these interesting division tactics that Tanner puts out. I'd like to say that Tanner often is thought about as like a kind of a cheese, interesting, fast-moving player that does a lot of flanking attacks and stuff. But I think last game showed us really well that Tanner has a good grasp on both the fundamentals of macro gameplay, of understanding which units are replaceable and which are not, as well as a really good ability to micro artillery accurately. And if Tanner starts investing in the micro, and yeah, here we're seeing the 3 Motostrelki BTRs already been bought. So after this defensive unit land grab, the infantry are going to move in apparently to the middle.
Yeah, we have really strong Spetsnaz GRU spots here though for SnowWolfie on the other side, and he should see just about everything moving in, and that gives SnowWolfie a lot of time to use his higher quality units here, the BMP-2 infantry and the T-80 BVIZD, to take engagements that he wants to take. Like BMP-2 on the south already, getting a kill into an SPG-9, another SPG-9 UATs going down, the Spetsnaz GRU here, really using the slight speed advantage, the one speed advantage that 79 has, with having special forces forward deployment for one unit, whilst the rest of their units coming in a bit slower here and a bit later. And it's being used to a quite big extent here. The SPG-9s getting absolutely slaughtered in the middle here. Those UATs is not doing much at all. And SnowWolfie with a strong spot here now in the center, as they have Motostrelkis, they have BMP-2s, and there's only weak ATGMs here that can't even one-shot the BMP-2s with those Fagot ATGMs. So you can play relatively aggressive now with SnowWolfie, knowing that you have the lead here BMP1 gets a gun hit on the BMP2 in the south. That's fortunate for Tanner, as otherwise he would have lost that BMP1 most likely as well. And then the whole situation in the south would have already been down to only the Storms and the Fagots.
Yeah, so do you think that, okay, so now the T80 on the front line is moving up here with the recon units, but there is nothing coming here that can, or the Sturms are the only thing that can actually face this T80, and that the ISD-29 variant is very fast. It's faster even than M1 Abrams, the modern variants of the Abrams. So with the Sturms now firing up, and are the Sturms going to get a, no, they're not going to get a side shot so far, and they're not even doing damage. They do get a stun for stun. A second T80 coming up, and with enough firepower here, supported by all these two recon units up the front here, and defended by these Tunguskas, I think SnowWolfie is in a pretty good position to start pushing. So far, Tanner's reinforcement consists of a BMP-1 Razvedkas and two 152mm artillery pieces coming. No tanks, no air units that we're seeing, and SnowWolfie likely is going to have a couple of minutes here that they could engage really well if they realize that they have the chance.
SU-24 also taking out ATGM and the Igla team in the north, getting out alive as the OSA was too far away, and that makes the whole defensive around Echo a lot harder now as well. That Fagot in the high-rise building was pretty important. Well, the BMP2s now could take a lot more engagements. The Storms here are the scary unit that Tanner has to be careful of, and that SnowWolfie has to be careful of, that Tanner can use to maybe get some important shots here off.
But the Spetsnaz crew, currently, the Spetsnaz crew can spot the Storms, and there are already a lot of units here that can engage them with the BMP2s, and the T80s are moving up here. I don't know if they recognize that the Storms are completely visible, and they're MTLBs, so they don't really have the speed or the armor to defend. No, defended only by their luck. One Sturm getting killed down, the other one getting suppressed heavily, and the Sturms are zero vet, so any kind of suppression is going to make their ability to snipe enemy tanks non-existent. They're going to have
whilst
to go
they have a fast and long-range missile, the issue is they don't have smoke. So if they ever get shot at, they can't really get out of there without luck or some help from the outside. One of the Sturm here now surviving because they are slow and they can't break the line of sight on their own. So the T80BVs and BMP2s can hunt them down if they ever get close enough. So you really want to use the Storms at the longest range possible, at those 2,800 meters, where they are able to shoot without being retaliated upon. But the T80BV ICDs now can push forward. Storm has been pushed back. BMP1 desperately trying to defend itself here, but its Fagot M's are not good enough ATGMs to really do a difference here. And Tanner got the south now under control, but loses the center here as Motostrelkis push forward. Moderate Redka already pushed back. BMP2's already pushing forward as well. And if SnowWolfie realizes what's going on here, and that the whole north is only protected by one Fagot, they could even jump onto Papa at a later part of this game. So Tanner needs to be careful.
Tanner buying three Sturms again to follow up with these BMP2s and the rest of the infantry that they're sending down south, but it's complete night and day almost when it comes to reinforcements. SnowWolfie buying minute per minute more and more the T80s, and at this point nothing has really done any damage to them. So as long as this mech blob gets built up enough and the recon has just enough presence in the front line, this might be really difficult for Tanner to get rid of with these units that they've bought here. It's not easy to eliminate Tanner's infantry up from the area next to Foxtrot, but it's not really possible for Tanner to capture this either without actually removing or blocking the T80s in some way. The Storms work out well on working as deterrence, but the Storms can't counter them in the front line, as we just saw. A Grad being bought by Tanner also.
And SnowWolfie also getting paid off for moving the Motostrelki in the north aggressively, catching Tanner's CV and transport, getting the kill onto that unit. While we see TDBV in the south engaging BMP-1P. TV80 BV IZDs now all 4 on the battlefield that can come with 1-star veterancy. And SnowWolfie under pressure in that regard, as putting the pressure on in that regard with only BMP2s on the other side. And BMP2s will lose against the T80 BV IZD on all ranges, because T80 BV IZD isn't only fast, it also has a really solid ATGM with the Argona, and that leads to problems here for the BMP2s, as they can only really do damage on long range with the Conquerors. So more help is needed, more Storms coming out, and the first TADBV for Tanner as well to maybe help out tanking before the ATGM vehicles can engage.
SnowWolfie reacting really fast on the incoming artillery. The artillery was targeting the Tunguska and the T-80, and the Tanner very smartly stopping the salvos right as the SnowWolfie's troops realized to move out. So the single Motostrelki BMP, the one-man Motostrelki squad up there, is providing amazing recon, spotting all of these BMP3s and all of these attacks here. I think this is what prompted SnowWolfie to pull down a little bit further, realizing that Tanner is going to start an attack right as the reinforcements come, and also gets taken down by the Akatsya. And the artillery supremacy, even though still on Tanner's side, SnowWolfie is the one on defense. So technically and generally, on defense, you're going to get more value out of your artillery because you're going to have some kind of recon advantage. Currently, this recon advantage is kept up by a single Spetsnaz GRU and another group further up north. So more recon needs to be bought here if this is going to keep up, with a grad hit going to the
grad going really wild here, getting TADBV to be routed, hitting the resupply truck, and that will buy Tanner some time here to get back into the zone around Foxtrot. One TADBV IZD still having a strong angle there. In the meantime, Bomber also coming in the north, getting some decent damage in as well. The Motostrelki of SnowWolfie pushing really deep here. The Fagot ATGM team most likely going to go down here soon, as BMP2, Spetsnaz and Motostrelki are pushing forward. Oh, can the Fagot get a hit against BMP2? No, it can't. And it goes down, and that should enable SnowWolfie now to push deep in the north. And Tanner needs to react quickly there, either with some planes, a helicopter, or something like that, because otherwise he will lose Papa here.
But instead, just spending the points of the last minute, I think the last points to buy another leader and a bunch and another Fagot and even more supply, so no points getting spent to counter, but instead the Mi-24 gets sent out there. We've seen SnowWolfie does have aircraft, so maybe SnowWolfie taking out this Mi-24V. Also the T-80 moving up, but the T-80 is likely going to get spotted by the errant Motostrelki BMP up front there. Yes, the T-80 has been spotted.
And so MiG-23 coming in for the Hind. Hind out of cocons anyways, or down to one cocon only, so it can't deal with all the BMP2s, as SnowWolfie, realizing that there is this gap, decided to bring some reinforcements that were planned for the south up north with the BMP2s here, really using the mechanized playstyle. BMP2s with Motostrelkis inside. Rolling in north now, a couple of TO-55s following up suit, a Mi-8 helicopter, a good bit of AA coming up behind all of this as well to protect against Hinds in the future. So a lot of forces here crashing setting up the pressure here, whilst only the TADBV is currently around for Tanner. A BTR coming up, one Fagot ATGM, but nothing with spotting capabilities in front of it, and that is an issue. More recon is necessary here of some sort, but I'm not sure how he can get that in place in time here now, before those Motostrelkis have gotten all the good spots already gobbled up. Spetsnaz into a really strong spot already. Helicopter coming up, TO-55 coming up. The TADBV IZDs even now moving somewhat north, moving away from Foxtrot, leaving that open. And Tanner trying to go with some real line action of himself with some BTR 60s running into the rear of SnowWolfie here.
The Fagot doesn't get the BRDM, it gets a stun. Oh no, does this mean that SnowWolfie realized the SnowWolfie's helicopter comes and takes out the Fagot? That was a really bad luck coming from for the singular fagot there. The line is currently held by 2 T80BVs on 0 wet for Tanner, and even though T80BVs are better on 0 wet than most other tanks because they do have the autoloader, which keeps up their rate of fire even at low cohesion. In practice, if these tanks start getting shot at, they're going to lose their survivability pretty fast considering how slow they are. The big deal about, we saw how well SnowWolfie weathered the artillery earlier on, and already managing to resupply and repair all of their tanks. And this is what speed means in practice. The T80BV IZD has 72 kph, which is the same speed as the AMX-10 RC, by the way, and the Leopard 2. And in practice, this speed translates into survivability. It translates into ability to turn the front armor against incoming enemy missiles. And it means that they can quickly get out before the second shot of the salvo gets in there. And getting having the enemy pay a lot of attention to it, having the player pay a lot of attention to the tanks works out well when you're playing something with the ICDs. Speaking of paying attention, the BTR-60s have moved back through the sidelines and are trying to take out artillery and Tunguskas here, with the Storms also moving out in kind of a desperate flank attack against the front of the tanks here, getting a bunch of shots off and even doing damage to one of the tanks. But now that they've been spotted, I doubt this Storm's going to have a lot of life here. I think this was more...
They can't smoke off, they can't run away, they are not wheeled, they are just tracked MTLBs. They have a strong ATGM, but that is about it. And they are outnumbered heavily here as well. And artillery coming in to support them. That artillery is actually pretty accurate. One T80BB IZD goes down. That's actually a decent trade, but at the same time, Tanner lost the rear zone for quite a while. SnowWolfie up to a +2 there for a good bit. Su-27 got killed off by the Strela 10s as well, killing off an M8. And that means Tanner losing an important fighter there for a relatively cheap helicopter. So getting the kill onto one of the T80BB IZDs here is nice. It's still 3 alive though, as the artillery couldn't finish off the others, and it still cost the Storms and the BMP2. So in the end, a trade that is okay for Tanner, but it's not the comeback that he needed here right now.
Yeah, another 2 T80 ISDs getting bought here, because the 79th can afford to lose a single tank. They can afford to lose a single tank if the enemy sacrifices a bunch of pretty good long-range defensive units to do that. Though, how many of the Storms do they get on 0? Do they only get a single card or 2?
What did you say?
How many cards of Storm do the 39th
You get 2
get
cards of 6, so you can't get up to 12 on the battlefield.
Okay, so that's I was figuring out maybe the last Storms were already bought, but there's probably even more there, because 5 of them were just bought here by Tanner. Tanner really just relying on these things, and they're not a bad unit to rely on as long as you use them as fire support, because of their large suppression and their good range and their speed. They can turn enemy tanks combat ineffective even if they can't necessarily kill them. But yeah, this on the offense they're not really that great for the reasons you stated. Another grad salvo coming, but this time blind firing at the standard location where the tanks and recon units are hang around. But SnowWolfie transitioning into kind of a mech blob style here, you commanding all of their troops in one group, having the recon helicopters and the Tunguskas hang around there. And I think this now that the Spetsnaz GRU is coming down here, so how many units on Foxtrot can actually fight against the tanks? I'm spotting a single Rasvedka BMP-1, a single Sturm. No, actually 2 Rasvedka BMP-1s. So yeah, there's one Sturm. There's one Sturm, nothing else here. So if SnowWolfie recognizes this, every single one of these infantry units can be methodically taken out by the tank guns.
Yeah. No AT air here on the side of Tanner around either. That could maybe be helpful. Some Su-25s or similar things here. Coops being desperately brought to save the Su-27 here. But they all miss. And the Su-27 is in a pickle. It got the better turn here. And might be able to escape because of that. Good kills on the MiG-23 this time around. And the Coops get one more salvo against the MiG-23, but missed there as well, so MiG-23 of SnowWolfie stays alive, and here comes the big tank blob. Runway is getting run over by a lot of TADBVs, and a lot of red units going down already. BMP-1s going down, Storms going down, and now it's only infantry, and yeah, TADBVs can take all the time in the world to take them out. Yes. Everything is firing up here against the Motostrelkis.
You rarely see maneuver warfare with packed tanks, just because the packed tanks just tend to be slower than NATO tanks. But the ISD-29 is an exception here, having the maximum speed that tanks have in this game, and combining the speed with the autoloader, which means the extended capacity to keep the fire up, having the Agona as a 21 pen missile at a very good range, and even having 4 of them, and then even with the extra HE damage provided by the heavy machine gun, the ISD-29 is just a great tank. Not to mention the fact that they have 11 max health because of reactive armor.
Yeah, Me-24P here, engaging the Motostrelkis at the same time. Tunguska under fire by artillery, but they are not the important part right now. Su-25s maybe could help out. We have Tanner flying around with a recon helicopter for the rear again, but that is not what this game is about right now. His TADBV is not up in par in the missile fight. The Cobra versus the Agona is not a fair fight at all. The Cobra, really low accuracy, long range ATGM. The Agona, really high accuracy, high damage ATGM that also has tandem rounds, so it goes through the extra armor, the reactive armor of the TADBV on the other side. So the IZD
That's
really
right,
a great TADBV hunter.
Yeah, so far I'm looking at the buys coming from Tanner, and it really does seem like Tanner's deck was built to do one thing, and that thing is not extended tank fights against 79th. The over reliance here on defensive units, and the fact that all of these T80s are on 0 vet, for instance, which means that well, yeah, all of them are. This one is outfitted by a leader, so it really does seem like Tanner had pre-thought their idea of the game that they were going to fight with this deck, and then losing the opener, not getting value out of the kind of peculiar fast defense opener, has meant that they have at no point been able to counterattack while trading upwards. The counterattacks that Tanner has managed to do have just been because SnowWolfie has been playing safe against the ATGM spam here, knowing that further the game is going to go on, the better position SnowWolfie is going to be in. And Tanner keeps buying coups, keeps buying Sturms, keeps buying one wet T80s, and all of this really just doesn't seem like the deck was designed to do this.
Yeah, we'll just Me-24V here versus BMP-2 going on at the same time. BMP-2 under fire, TADBV, IZD getting hit here by Storms as well. Getting pushed back. We see M1, the D20s here trying to get some hits as well. Tunguskas might be able to deal with Me-24V rocket in the south. Not able to get a hit off just yet, but there's so many TADBVs here, and it doesn't really matter. Like, Tanner has a decent defensive line now again with a lot of Storms here, but Storms also don't kill TADBVs frontally. Like, you need to get some side shots to really get kills with them. The 19 frontal, the pen against the 17 frontal armor means that you do exactly 2 damage with each hit.
All right. So there's now an LGB coming. LGB is targeting and immediately running off, realizing that there's a MiG-23 out there hunting it. And let's see if, yeah, at least the extra AA that Tanner bought is working out here. But yeah, there's just a lack of offensive units. Tanner is buying Iglas, Tanner is buying Coups, but this is just nothing offensive.
Yeah, and the TADBVs and Storms getting whittled down already by the better brawling TADBVs here. They're just the better brawlers. TADBV goes down as well against the Agona long-range ATGMs. as more TDBVs on the side of SnowWolfie come in. And yeah, the lack of AA here right now in the higher numbers is an issue for maybe. SnowWolfie getting a coup or two would be nice, though they still have two Tunguskas here, so it's not like they have nothing. Like, planes can't linger around for long. They might get able to get a run or two. But TDBVs here doing IZDs especially doing a really good job for SnowWolfie, getting the storm, getting another TDBV under fire, another storm going down as well, and there's nearly no IT left here. A couple of
Yeah,
Hind helicopters, but the Tunguska will get rid of them real quick. They can't come in, and artillery is Tanner's idea to victory here again, but it was too little defense in front of it. And the artillery this time around also, outside of that one grud hit, not really that strong. And that one grud hit didn't even kill that much.
Yeah, you see how well the T-80s are being kept alive. The 3 T-80s just repaired themselves after all of them getting some moderate damage from Tanner's forces. 2 more are gonna go there to get repaired very quickly. There's just SnowWolfie is just trading up because SnowWolfie is keeping up the logistics and only sacrificing the kind of units that can be sacrificed, which is your standard infantry units. The force of it's much like in the last game. The opponent's force just keeps going and going and going, but this time SnowWolfie is on the offensive. And if you're on the offensive, you have to always be watch out for overextensions, specifically your overextensions. It can be so intoxicating feeling like, oh, this is going to be the time. Now I'm going to break through. Now I'm going to right click and just get to there and strike at their flank and take out all of their artillery. And you can do that sometimes, but if you want to play it safe, you wait for all of your when your tanks get hit for a couple of hit points, you pull them back, and you keep doing that and buying more tanks until it's just physically impossible for the enemy to kill all of them.
Yes, SnowWolfie keeping those tanks alive real nicely. ADBV getting rid of some BMP2s in the south as well. The +4 is still on, and Tanner is just lacking the forces here right now. He would need to get some kills onto some tanks with some artillery or so, but his artillery is not that deadly. Like, the artillery that he has is all nuisance. Like, the D20s, they can deal some damage to some infantry, they can deal some damage to some tanks and force them away, and then you might be able, if you have the combined arms, to push through somewhere, but the combined arms is not there to follow it up. And this artillery on its own, unlike the M110s from the last game, they can't really get up kills.
Yeah, as long as SnowWolfie is paying attention, and after the first shots hit, the fast T-80s get pushed off to complete safety. If Tanner was attacking tanks that are completely useless, let's say the Challengers, tanks that can't really move out in time, who are gonna linger around for the second and the third and the fourth hit of the salvo to hit them, maybe at that point this could be value. But no, as long as SnowWolf is paying attention, the artillery is just not gonna get value.
MiG-23 MLD being pushed back. BMP2 here coming around with another ATGM. Gets a miss. No hit there, but the IZDs still around the numbers. More BMP2s with moderate Redgas coming up as well. So more recon here, more ATGM, more Conquerors. And it's only 2 minutes at this point, so Tanner has to pull the trigger now, and we see one last kind of desperate push here now on the south. One T80BV IZD taking good damage, but it's bringing good distance between itself and the enemy as well, and it most likely will survive once more thanks to its significant speed advantage. ATGMs in the south hitting from the Mi-24V rockets, pushing back a T80BV there as well, so Tanner might actually be able to get into that southern zone here. But even then, it would still be a +2 for SnowWolfie, and at this point, even that would only be 3 minutes more. So Tanner needs to break the whole south, and there is just so much stuff for SnowWolfie here.
Yeah, any kind of an attempt to put the T80 BVK, the command the T80 in there, is going to necessitate first taking out these Motostrelkis, and as anybody is trying to take out the Motostrelki that SnowWolfie has inside the zone, this is going to work as spotting for all of the rest of SnowWolfie's units that can be positioned to engage. So This is a really bad attempt to attack, and a really bad place to push against this mobile, long-range fighting T-80 blob. And there's like 50 seconds left.
And yeah, we have a MiG-27K LGB-1 in the sky as well, together with an Su-27. We have a couple of ATGMs running around into the on the ground again, but Tanner gets into the zone. As I said, it reduced the tick. It will get him a couple more seconds here, but he would need one more zone, and that one more zone is worlds away right now at this stage. Like, could be on another planet at this point, because the amount of T80BVs between him and the next zone is just way too immense.
Yeah, the SnowWolfie's tanks are taking a breather for a moment, and as soon as they're repaired, I'm sure they're just gonna Q move down southwest, as they always do.
So yeah, this game, really strong show by SnowWolfie here. The T80BV IZD shown to its fullest as a dangerous, fast, long-range tank that is hard to kill if microed correctly. And Tanner, maybe with the wrong opener, as SnowWolfie's special forces were able, the Spetsnaz were able to counter to opener quite nicely together with a couple of BMP2s and T80BVs, all those SPG-9 trucks going down, and Tanner being stopped in its tracks this time around, leaving us with a draw here in the end, and SnowWolfie nearly 2-1 KD lead here. Absolutely deserved victory, and absolutely deserved points on the scoreboard as well.
Yeah, did SnowWolfie make a single mistake? Like at I was looking for some, but the 79th gameplay was just very solid. There was whenever there was a moment of weakness shown by the enemy, the rest of the units holding ground and garrisoning up north started moving, which forced even further investments away from the actual fight. The T-80s were kept alive so reliably that every time an engagement happened, SnowWolfie was in a better position. The artillery was countered by constantly paying attention and moving out. The even the aircraft were around and weren't really brought back after Tanner started buying masses of coups and other air defenses. It's just this was just an excellent showing of Tanner's kind of wacky, very cheap defensive opener getting completely counterplayed by a very simple recon mechanized attack into build-up of further mechanized attack kind of tactic. And
Yes, also really good movement with the motor strikes in the north, finding the moment where Tanner was weak there and exploiting it to the fullest, rotating around with enough forces so that Tanner couldn't follow and set up a defense line quickly enough anymore. And that cost Tanner so many points, so many resources, so much energy to bring units up there. And then it was already for the push in the south. Just as Tanner was able to capture back the north, the T80BV IZDs rolled forward again. Tanner's real line action not really paying off either, and all of that really costing him here in the end, and leading to a draw in this one. We have another Tanner match coming up though, so don't you worry, guys. We're gonna go into a short break, and then we're gonna be back with more Tanner action coming your way, as requested by Reef. And yep, second Tanner game against another opponent coming up in a second. Yeah, sorry guys, we have to make the break slightly bit longer. We'll be back in time. So as we're still waiting for Chloride to return, and we have a bit of time here to talk about the stuff around the league, like for example the prize pool, and how you guys can support funding the prize pool without having to pay anything yourself. As all you have to do is going to Matcherino and click the claim code button on the top right here to add 25 cents to the prize pool immediately for free. That will be paid out to some of the players. And yes, 25 cents per, it don't sound much, but if everybody does it, that's, and we have 33 more codes to be claimed, that's a good couple of dollars there getting added to the prize pool. Another way of adding more money is subscribing to the Metro YouTube channel. Adds another 32 cents completely for free. And if you want to support the tournament even further, you obviously also can contribute directly with some direct money. And thanks to everybody for the support so far. All the direct the claim codes buttons so far. I will set up all the stretch goals in the next 2 days. Have forgotten to do that at the beginning of the tournament, but yeah, there will be some fancy stretch goals there as well. So we'll see about that. But yeah, thanks for all the support already so far. And yeah, League going pretty well so far. Fantasy League is sign up has closed now, but that's going pretty well as well, with a lot of players having picked their teams. And the four divisions being really actively playing away as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how we will get into the playoffs this time around. Yes, I'm pretty sure we will stay on schedule this time around, and the finals always being best of 3 games and then best of 5 games for the grand finals in Division 1 and semifinals in Division 1. We will have a lot of games to go through still, with the group stages here already being played quite actively. In Division 4, I still have to put in more results, but there have been a lot more games played there as well. Players really, really active, and I love to see that. WARNO community currently is just an absolute blast, and that is even without any directly new content just yet. And yeah, Northak and 2.2 Nemesis coming up, and I'm pretty excited to when they come around, because I feel like it will lead to another real nice jump. And yeah, map editor tools and so on developing nicely as well right now, which is really cool to see. Like, I feel like that's another big edge and big jump that Eugen games can make when we really get good modding tools and a good custom generated content that Eugen then can use maybe even in their own game, like with ranked pool and so on, similar to other RTS. Tournament pool for sure, if we get good maps in the future. That will be really nice. And yeah, it's really lovely to see that Eugen is pushing themselves further on the technical levels now as well. Because I feel like 1.0 was WARNO reaching like the level of a Steel Division, the level of a Wargame Red Dragon, and now we're pushing beyond it. And it's quite nice. And hey, Edgewalker. Hello there, Mr. Lurker. Thanks for watching. And yeah, we're having fun here. As I said, Chloride currently still out for a break, so we're waiting here for Tanner versus Liek to be able to start and going back into the action. So that will be fun as well. I'm really looking forward to it. Tanner, just such an enjoyable player to watch, and a really nice person in general. Helped out with a good couple of things on SDL as well, and we will have some pretty good games, I'm sure, there as well. Liek had some really fun games in the past as well. Last season, unfortunately, had to drop out. That was a bit of a shame. But this season, back into the fighting and back in full force, so that should be pretty exciting as well. Liek has played in a lot of SDL seasons, in Steel Division 2 especially, as well in the past, but also in WARNO tournaments, so veteran player as well. Not quite the same level as Tanner, but it should still be a nice, good fight there as well. There is no delay here because those are not live casts. If there would be live casts, we usually use a slight delay, yes. Plus, there is a in-game delay already. There is an in-game delay of 2 minutes and some seconds already, so you can't directly stream snipe anyway usually. Like, and plus the community is usually like we haven't had any cases yet where we really had to strike on it yet. Couple of edge cases where people had other people, but those have been long time ago as well, and like in WARNO nothing like that yet. So there are some rules around it. And we have Mr. Chloride back, so we're gonna go into the action in a second. And here we are again, guys. Tanner versus Liek, game number 1. And we have Tanner with second Panzer Grenadier again, a division that we have seen him before on today. on the exactly same sport. So this is going to be interesting to see if it will be a repetition of the first game of the game against SnowWolfie, or if Liek can do better here with the 35th being a really aggressive forward deploy division as well. So what do you think about the 35th deployment that we have here so far?
35th deployment. So on this map, of course, the town at Oscar, the southern town here, is very easily takeable by the eastern player on the red side here. And having a bunch of Spetsnaz out there, Spetsnaz isn't it the most powerful infantry damage, HE damage infantry unit in the game? Just
It
having those
might
guys out there.
be at least on short range for sure. It might be
But
rivaled by the
But the thing is that
ODAs.
Yuri Tanner has a bunch of weaponry that are really good against the expensive concentrations of infantry, namely the Merschwaffe. And Tanner seems to be going in for the kill, trying to challenge the predictable like forward deployment attack on Oscar by buying a bunch of surprisingly the shit boxes, the brick tractors, the M113 Germans, the ones without the 50 cal machine guns, and just I think this is one of the only times when this unit might be value, because a lot of the units such as the RPO units and the Spetsnaz don't have AT weapons, so just having the extra lightly armored vehicles might help there. It's very interesting to see how Tanner's deployment differs from the time that they were facing a slow division where they were going all aggro on the Fallschirmjägers. Now we can't see a single Fallschirmjäger out here, but a whole-on attempt to challenge Oscar. I think this is extremely brave. Like going against 35th, like at the start of the game on infantry with zero vet infantry, even though they are pioneers, so they should be able to do something. I'm not sure if this is going to pay out. There is a Schwilling out there to take out the Mi-24K, and the Scorpions will offer some amount of fire support. But I really don't know what Tanner's thinking here. Maybe Tanner knows better than I do, and maybe Tanner is planning to do some Merschwaffe aggro gameplay. But yeah, I really don't know about this.
Yeah, we have a lot of transport Panzer Fuchs with this, though unlike American or French transports or Russian transports, they don't have a heavy MG. They only have a MG3 on top, so they don't have the HE fire support of an SBW or of something like an MR13 in American service or the French armored carriers, the VBLs. But they still can give some, though the Pioneers immediately get hit by a BMP2. First Transport Panzer Focus going down. So those Pioneers here will be in for a tough fight. Fallschirmjägerführer also not there to buff up their veterancy. And those are zero veterancy Pioneers versus high veterancy Dejanikis and high veterancy Spetsnaz GRUs as well. And Spetsnaz. So this is problematic here from the get-go. Cluster Bomber coming in with a bit of damage there as well. We have double Lars with a Felddepot setting up for some extra fire support from the rear though, and that might shift the balance of power here quite significantly.
The immediate 2 Lars opener, I think instead of the Merschwaffe that I was predicting, I think this is the game here. The Lars are pretty cheap at 140 points, but they are the weakest rocket artillery, at least when it comes to the size of the rocket, I believe. At least the cheapest one that is actually played. The Pioneers, being large squads and having satchel charges, were capable of fighting a little bit, but the thing is, to get the satchel charges to work, you need to advance towards the enemy, and zero vet units can't really reliably do that because they get stunned and stopped before they're out there. And if we look at the reinforcements, we're seeing Spetsnaz and we're seeing Desalniki, and we're seeing just a standard reinforcement coming for Deathwing / Lizak here, with no reinforcements coming really for Tanner. So it might be that if Tanner's forces are taken out here, this might be it. There might be they might lose their foothold on the town and have to siege the town again with heavier weaponry. It really
the Mi-24K really helpful, and it really pays off that the cluster bomber got rid of the AA here, and that is a problem now for Tanner, not being able to deal with that Mi-24. The Lars coming around here with a bit more fire, trying to hold the foothold in the town alive, with the Fuchs coming around for a bit of damage as well. But Liek now has the +1, has the +2 here, and Tanner coming up with more units, Zwilling AA in the south, another Gepard, another couple of Panzer Grenadiers, but no Martyrs here around in the south yet. The ones from the north actually not going for the attack, but rotating south instead. So Tanner really wants to fight for Oscar here.
Yeah, Tanner.
Oh, that LGB! Oh, that was the second dodge! It was so close!
What the hell was that?
It was so close, Tanner with
Wow.
getting saved there last second, dodging the LGB. That would have been devastating. That would have possibly been game, or at least have made it insanely hard for Tanner to get back into this point. Instead, Tanner's 3 infantry units still all alive and pushing back in.
Yeah, the Fuchses and the brick tractors getting used as fire support here pretty efficiently, actually, because the SPG-9s and the Conquerors haven't been pulled to engage here. So reinforcements coming now, another wave of zero-vet Panzer Grenadiers and another wave of zero-vet Panzer Grenadiers. So Tanner is really going here. Tanner is trying to just outlast with these 45.9-man infantry squads, which for their size are pretty strong. Not the best unit in general. West German infantry just generally it isn't that great. They win battles with their numbers, and you need to use them smartly. You just can't have your stuff go head to head against vetted up Thessaloniki and expect them to win. You have to do some trickery. You have to do some tactics to actually manage this. But so far, the growing blob of light vehicles has seemed to work out pretty well. And as soon as Tanner might get a Leopard maybe to take out any errant BMD2s, he'll easily have the fire supremacy here, and the Lars might actually end up paying out. Lars already managing to destroy the buildings, making it so that there's going to be less to block the vision of any Martyrs or other fire support vehicles. So yeah,
this plane coming around, firing off one seed missile, getting the Gepard. So Liek on a decent way of getting air superiority here. Another Gepard going down here, another AA unit biting the dust, and Tanner has to be careful. You don't want to lose the air war here to 35th, as otherwise the helicopters and the LGB bombers and the Su-25s that they can bring around could bring hell to all your potential Leopards and Martyrs and infantry units as well.
Yeah, but they fortunately second does get Eyehawks, and 2 Eyehawks already ordered to deploy reasonably close here. So Tanner might actually be doing the impossible. Tanner might actually use the M113A1G as a value unit. Tanner is spotting up a Metis and might actually try to engage the Metis, not going to under the minimum range of 175 meters, but if the Metises get played, microing Fuchses and brick tractors under their minimum range might get you some free kills. But this play style of trying to build a fire support blob with only vehicles with 7.62 machine guns is quite unique. And if this works out, I think it's going to be really impressive.
We have a Mi-24 case and an Aquila now in the south, though. So the helicopter power here pretty strong. There is a Zwilling AA, but it only has a 2,400 meter range against helicopters, so the helicopters don't have to worry about it too much, as it's also a towed weapon, so it can't hunt down the helicopters quickly. It's not a truck or anything like that. And now we have the big infantry plop here, the Panzer Grenadiers with a lot of M113s, but the Medis starts to pick those off. There is Dejanikis with decent RPGs as well, so all of this will make it tough here, but Tanner has so many infantry units here. A Grut or something like that would be really helpful. Seed coming around again. Eyehawk just unloading now, so they get saved by that. LGB bomber goes down, actually. Wow. One hit from the Eyehawk and the Zwilling's damage killing it off. but the infantry push still gets pushed back by the helicopters so far.
Yes, the Feltepo really kind of starting to pay out. If the plan here is for the Larses to just physically destroy the town, so that maybe in 10 minutes there's not gonna be a town left for the infantry to hide in, I think this might work. The infantry waves get sent in there to promote the 35th buying more infantry to fight this infantry 1v1, and the Lars and the growing fire support, the APC, the personal transport blob that is getting built up behind there, it might actually pay off in the end. But now with Grad V's baby Grads getting a double strike at and immediately to the infantry breakthrough here, but Pioneers following up even further. Is this actually the ultimate West German infantry spam tactic here coming from Tanner? Only 18 minutes left without contesting the zone, but just the sheer amount of units here is just. I think this is gonna. I think Tanner is doing well here, even with all of these losses and all of this very odd and strange gameplay that we can't necessarily, as analysts, analyze, because who knows what is going on in Tanner's head. Maybe this whole thing is a feint. Maybe Zulu at North is actually the real target. Like,
yeah, we have more of these MGs and big infantry blobs now coming around, more transport pokes and more 13s rolling in again. SPG-9s desperately trying to defend against it. But the baby Kruts are scary. Like, those infantry units, yes, they are big, but a double hit from a baby Krut salvo still will melt them away quite quickly. And the SPG-9, a good unit here as well to deal with those light vehicles. It's not too expensive to shoot at them. So yeah, 50-point units with a lot of ammo. You don't run out of ammo too quickly there with this, and it can one-shot those Fuchses, those MR13s, and make them pretty cost inefficient relatively quickly as well here for Tanner. MR13's falling back. Lars re-aiming, but the push here is still pretty stuck for now.
10 minutes in and the first Leopard 2 gets bought, and I think this is a signal that Tanner is planning to have this infantry fight go on while he slowly transitions into heavier equipment here. So the 35th investing further into just the standard units of infantry and ATGMs, as well as the Grad Vs and aircraft. But this has worked out really well to defend the first 10 minutes of 2nd Panzergrenadier gameplay. But in the next 30 minutes, the 2nd Panzergrenadier is going to turn heavier and heavier and heavier. And if this early game attempt of sacrificing these zero-vet units into these infantry assaults actually pays off, that might mean that the late game units will have to fight against an enemy that is not necessarily prepared to fight against a blob of Leopard 2s.
Yeah, another Gepard got shot down here, so the helicopter's living a pretty secure life there on the side of Liek. The AA of Tanner down up now with
the
more
IHawks are not
IHawks.
turned off. Only one of the... No, now the IHawks were immediately turned off with the 2 seeds coming out here. So now that the seeds turn
they
off...
only work against the first seed. The second seed comes around, gets 1 kill, but the first seed gets shot down by the IHawk. The second one in trouble as well, as the Gepard gets some damage on it. So yeah, the quadruple IHawk, a bit more than Liek expected, and it led to 1 MiG-25 going down there in the end. The Gepards, if both missiles
the Lars was misclicked to go fire with the machine guns at the Desant Niki. No, you should not. You should turn off the machine guns of your Larses.
It turns back now, and we see Leo 2A3 now firing on the front line. Desant Niki still holding out nicely though, and the helicopter numbers of Liek are rising, so the Gepards become more and more important as anti-helicopter firepower here, as they're the only thing that really can be used against them. The IHawks, not a good anti-helicopter unit. They have good range against helicopters, but they are super clumsy, and if you put them there, the baby Kruts will just annihilate them more likely, and then you will actually get a kill onto any of the helicopters. So pushing
And
forward with them a
M110.
bit scary, because if the baby Kratz start to kill off all the Ihawks, then I feel like this game might be game over for Tanner here.
Yeah, so speaking of, so the tactic has changed here. 5 reserve pattern tanks as well as the M110 heavy howitzer, all of them coming out here now. So I think Tanner might have run out of all of the zero vet infantry, and now the zero vet tanks are coming up here. I don't know what I think the tactic might have been for Tanner to actually keep the hold on the city, just having at least a single unit in there to facilitate reinforcements and facilitate engagements. That might have been the goal here, because now that Tanner has been repeatedly completely wiped off from the city, there doesn't seem to be any more capacity to keep up the attack.
Unimog under fire. Unimog is getting killed here. We see Desert Nikis under fire on the other side though, as the Grutz, the Lars try their best there as well. Lars with their relatively low rate of fire, not quite the saturations of the Grutz. And as we have on the other side though, a hell of a lot of fire support now coming in. And it is the right version of the M48. It is the one with the 50 cal, and that is a great fire support unit. You get a lot of them. They only cost you 70 points, so you get more than 3 per minute, and they nearly 4 per minute. And they can really be helpful at dealing with enemy infantry in that regard. They can deal with enemy light armor as well, and they have a smoke, so against helicopters they can protect themselves decently as well.
Yeah, and also they get smoke. The M48s get smoke. T55s don't get smoke. So that's a major difference when using these tanks in the attack.
Yeah, they come in here now. The issue is though that the infantry already has been reduced quite heavily now, and we're down to more martyrs now with Panzer Grenadiers, but those are small Panzer Grenadier squads. We have more artillery on the battlefield as well, M110s now coming in a number. We're still only 16 minutes in, so there is still time here for Tanner. The timer is on 12 minutes with the tick, so in the next 12 minutes neutralization has to happen down here, and then he needs to start overrunning the enemy. I feel like Liek's focus really should be on dealing with the AA. If he can keep his helicopters and his aircraft striking the enemy, I don't believe Tanner has a way in here, but if Tanner can deal with the helicopters and can protect his tanks from any enemy aircraft with the Ihawks, and if those stay up, then I feel like the push through in the 24 minute is possible even against the baby Kratz. Oh, Mi-24K against Gepard in the north. It doesn't seem to be able to get out there in time. Yeah, the Gepard gets the kill. Important kill on the first helicopter here.
So it seems like some kind of an infantry push is going to happen in the southwest in entry road of the town. Meanwhile, the tanks moving into the northwest entry point of the town. These two positions, if you secure them, you can pretty reliably bring out troops in at least one of these roads. If you attack towns using only a single entry point, that makes you way more vulnerable than if you can secure or at least challenge 2 entry roads. There's numerous leaders here with Pioneer Führers, Ildisführungs, numerous Ildisführungs out here, and it seems like maybe the last of the infantry getting brought here with the Pioneer Flams and Pioneers. So it's gonna be only a couple of minutes really realistically left for Tanner to prepare for this attack. But if Tanner might get a couple of kills, maybe the Seed or an LGB bomber here, a Seed taking out a Gepard, but the air defense is way too powerful. Now that both of the Seeds have been taken out, this is a massive weight off Tanner's shoulders, because Tanner no longer needs to micro the radar units. So the infantry with the Pioneer Führer now moving in, and fortunately unloading right before the Pioneer Führer would have been taken out. The Lars are firing reasonably blind. The M110s were firing blind earlier as well.
Leo 2A3 getting hit really hard there already by SPG-9s and AT weapons. Conquerors there coming around as well. That Leo 2A3 is so low. Conquerors coming in there, getting the final hit. Conquerors under fire by the M110s, but it got the important kill onto the Leo 2A3. That trait is absolutely amazing for Tanner. For Liek, Tanner down an important tank with this. The M48's now getting involved here. But Liek has so much infantry still in this town. The town slowly gets completely demolished, so line of sight in the town gets better and better for the fire support of Tanner. But for now, still a good couple of buildings standing, and there's still a lot of helicopters behind of this. The baby Kruts setting up for return fire here as well, and the fire support needs to start to make a real dent in here, and I don't think that has just yet happened.
Yeah, so Tanner is firing these artillery blind. They are, even though they're getting kills, he's currently targeting another salvo at the position where the Conquerors used to be, but was already killed. If these salvos just hitting the middle of the town could do amazing damage here, and even though I understand that Tanner wants to get rid of the flank assets that threaten the mech blob, just firing right at the middle of the town could get some amazing results here. Martyrs going in blind, getting taken out by OP Spetsnaz, Desant Niki engaging them as well, and immediately as the Yltis moves in there, the corner gets targeted by the baby grads. So this is what I mean when you need to engage the town, insert the town from 2 different insertion points. Otherwise, you're way too vulnerable to be grad V'd. And so the Jaeger Aufklärer and the Pioneers managing to get in unmolested from the northwest entrance, and OP Spetsnaz being able to easily kill these M48 if they can just get in buildings with LOS, but outside of buildings, if they're spotted, they can get stunned and fired and suppressed pretty fast. Suppression removes units' movement capacity, so even if you just get a couple of random tank shots at around a unit that is not inside a building, that might significantly lessen their capacity. But showing the endless availability of the 2nd Panzergrenadier, Tanner has fortified very heavily the northern industrial zone of Lima, and the Lars managed to get some good hits at the front of the VDV assault.
Yeah, Liek here with a counterattack, trying to take the north, trying to force Tanner to invest more up there. Tanner comes in with enough forces to hold the line here for sure. The Lars with a good strike. At the same time, Tanner got some more infantry in the south, but there's still Spetsnaz in there. Artillery continuously firing from both sides. The Lars still firing. The Amorhard 10s for sure helped out, giving a bit more long-range damage to Tanner's side. For sure swinging the favor of artillery to his side, as the baby Kruts kinda can rival the Lars, but they can't rival Amorhard 10s in the constant damage output. And the M48s did push into the town now, and there's actually little AT here, as we have it swilling on the front line, and a Mi-24 VP has to be brought in, as the Akula went down. Or did it actually go north? Oh, the Akula went up north. Okay, so Akula could have been really helpful in the south right now. And in the north, it has no protection, and both helicopters too close to each other, so the F-16 get a double kill there, as the missiles strike both helicopters at the same time. That's an issue. Never plop your helicopters, guys. Otherwise, they will get AoE'd like that, and you lose 2 expensive helicopters at once.
The Belgians,
this is a fatal
don't plop
blow here.
Don't blob your helicopters, kids. The Belgians might come for them.
And the BRDM 2U here now trying to come in the north, but there are Milan 2 teams around or Milan 1 teams to stop it. And if it gets killed, there is not much to be gained here from Liek. If Liek can keep the BRDM in life, but it goes down immediately.
BRDM gets taken out! Oh,
because
that's
otherwise the timer here would have been really, really brutal, with a +4 there for Liek for a while. Gets reduced.
The reserve Führungs, the artillery leader, getting into the town now, finally, despite Fury Tanner having control over half of the town for some time now, but a leader is getting in only now. And this leader getting in is going to give Tanner some pretty good info on where the enemy leader is, and that is going to be taken out or targeted most likely by the M110s. But immediately
this leader is going down again to the baby Kruts. Baby Kruts doing their job really nicely. We have a Mi-24 VP and Akula in the south again. A MiG-27 cluster bomber going down after only dropping 1 bomb there. That only deals a bit of damage to a Jaeger Aufklärer, so that is not too important. The planes of Liek have been stopped, but Liek still has more infantry marching through here in the south. Milan 1 trying to deal with the enemy KPV, able to do that, but Tanner still has to do more here. The 16 minutes still remaining, that's still a decent amount of times, but he needs to break the enemy here, and he doesn't do that right now. It's a lot of grinding here still going on, but Liek, we have a good movement here in the north, starting to get some decent trades there. MiG-27 actually hunting down the Tornado HE. That's an interesting way of using your MiG, but it does get the job done. Eaglas helping out against the F-16s as well there, and you don't want to lose your F-16s because they are your best anti-helicopter option.
Yeah, the fact that Liek has managed to kill every leader that Tanner has put into the town just says that Tanner's attacks didn't go perfectly. If Tanner had used all of the resources here and used them in good enough combination and managed to get good enough engagements, there was a universe here where at least 2 of the 3 leaders had actually gotten in there and not immediately removed by the Grad Vs. Excuse me. Now a Leopard 2 coming in as maybe the last leader that can and Pioneer Fur also coming in with some infantry. So Tanner not giving up on the attack, but this really just needs to happen soon. There is just way too much here, and Tanner needs to have perfect control basically to not have this game end.
Yeah, BB Gruds still having a lot of fire in them. They only cost 240 to reload. They have a Mi-26 next to them, so their reload can happen time and again here. The southern town is pretty flattened, but it's still a +2 for Liek here. And the +2 means that this game will end in 3 minutes and 28 seconds, so Tanner needs to get through somewhere, but he lost so much infantry in the north. Liek getting the way better engagements with the infantry in the north. Really using the situation that his infantry is higher quality, higher veterancy, and all those Dejanikis taking strong engagements, and Tanner now trying to push in through here in the south, but all those Dejanikis in this town, they are hiding in the ruins, and if they can get their RPGs fired onto the Leo 2, the Leo 2 will go down quite quickly as well.
So at least the Lars managing to take out one of the threats maybe here. The Grad Vs are still reloading and no other artillery is out here, so at least for the moment this is gonna be okay. But yeah, the Tanner has no capacity to drive off the Soviets on the Lima industrial position, so I do think that this is done now. Yeah, the numerous attacks early game were kind of baffling. I think the point there was to secure a hold on one of the reinforcements routes, no matter the cost. And Tanner kept paying the cost, and it just didn't pay off repeatedly. And I think that made it so that Tanner's late game attacks just didn't have quite enough infantry to be able to contest this. But I do understand that having the late game attack would be...
And the helicopters kill the CV in the north, so it's a full capture now for Liek. BRDM actually got pushed out, so it's not, but it's still 36 seconds only, and yeah, that is not enough. Good movement there with the helicopters against from Liek, and those helicopters also making so much work here. The killing of enemy AA time and again, pushing it back Gepards, pushing back the Zwillings, only having the Eyehawk to worry about, and those are not effective against helicopters, allowed him to play a lot easier with his infantry, because whenever any armor came close, he could just kill it with helicopters.
Yeah, this was I think what I think happened here when it comes to Tanner is that Tanner recognizes that any mid or late game attacks into the southern town are going to be 10 times easier if you have just any kind of presence inside the town. As long as you just have something, just a couple of pioneer units maybe holding the corner there, supported by a large amount of mechanized fire support, that is going to be an asset that will help him win the game. But these engagements that Tanner took, sending in the wave after wave of the infantry, just never managed to pay off. So by the time it came time to have all of the artillery on board and to bring out the tanks and to have the Eyehawks protecting it, the real actual battle in the end, by that point, Tanner had already traded so badly that the enemy was just in a better position. Tanner could have used their units and maybe coordinated a little bit better, but really it is the risky gameplay of trying to secure the foothold of the town that I think really didn't pay off here. But I do think the idea of having the brick tractors and the Fuchses do fire support with their machine guns en masse was actually a good one, and I could see that working out.
Yeah, and the baby Grots actually not even killing that much, but they softened it up so much here. Like they only killed a single Iltis and one Iltis leader there, or was that the second card actually? No, they actually killed way less than you would expect. But they softened up it, all the stuff really nicely so that the Dejanikis could finish off the stressed off masses that were left after those salvos. And a really strong hold here from the 35th against the relentless attack of Tanner that maybe was on the wrong town, also maybe was with the wrong units, but still well executed push by Tanner's, but even better executed defense here from Liek. And it's gonna be interesting to see if Liek can step up one more time here against Tanner, or if Tanner gets just another draw. Because if Tanner gets another draw, I feel like that would be the most interesting setup for the group, with Tanner already on 2 draws then, and 5 players in the group and so on. So the points being a bit split more around makes the rest of the season more interesting. So I kind of hope for a draw, but we will see if Liek can be beaten here, or if he's just too strong right now.
Yeah. So somebody asked on the it's not a good idea to challenge the strong airborne forward deployment openers on the terms of the forward deployment openers. What you basically want to understand that the airborne divisions are going to be worse the further in the game keeps going on, as long as you keep buying your better units, your tanks, your IFVs, and your artillery. A very good kind of a very good rule of thumb is to just imagine that you have a 5-minute timer, and inside this 5-minute timer that starts in the opener, you just don't want to have any engagements. You don't want to like give them free ground, but you want to deploy defensively. And then after you have built a core group of some IFVs, some anti-air, some infantry, and some tanks, then you can start attacking them. But if you engage them in the opener, they're going to be their strongest.
So here we go, another game, and we have Hesse Duel in front of us with Tanner this time on 8th and Liek being up 1-0 actually, so I have to put that the other way around up there. Liek in the lead in this series, and Liek bringing in another 4th deployment division with the 4th motto. So that might be a similar strategy here. We'll see how it goes, as a lot of airborne already deployed on the battlefield. But on this other side, on Tanner's side, a really well spread out stuff, including a Black Hawk with some ranger leaders in the north. That might be up for some shenanigans here.
Yeah, the so far this like investment of these Fallschirmjägers, these Fallschirmjägers are expensive because they're special forces, and but they're also the main attacking spearhead of 4th Moto. And with all of the rest of the units of 4th Moto, the shaft of the spear being significantly less powerful, in my opinion, than the tip of the spear. So using these FS Jaegers aggressively is going to be smart, especially on Hesse, which is a map where the design of the map, especially on the urban side, kind of allows you to do some very brave infantry fights if you can keep on controlling them. But so far, we're seeing the deployments. The deployments of the FS Jaegers are getting a couple of 100 meters on the east of Lima. This is a difficult position because if you look at the forests east of Lima, if the enemy sets up fire support around X-ray or around the forest on X-ray, they're going to have premier ability to fire at the special forces on long range. And even the Metis guys are not going to be able to cover themselves. So this attack on Lima really needs to get to Lima, and then really needs to have support from either aircraft, some of the East German tanks, the hyper-modernized T-55s maybe, because otherwise Tanner will be able to surround and concave this attack, which frankly has a lot of eggs in the same basket. And Tanner here coming out with a pretty signature defensive style with a lot of cheap recon, and absolutely no investments on the urban area aside from the Rangers leader, which will likely try to deploy somewhere back and then walk themselves to November. That is going to be my guess.
Yeah, this is interesting. We have a leader, CV on the other side, recon unit on the other side to follow around. We have a couple of Fallschirmjägers to take some defensive positions in the town as well. But yeah, it's Liek running in for Lima. And that is interesting to see if that might work out, or if Tanner can push it off relatively early on. Mech rifles, only 2 of them around. We have some ATGMs with M109s. We have a support tank with the M60 that has good fire support capabilities, but a surprising amount of anti-tank here. And then also, yeah, a lot of recon for Tanner. So the combat power is for sure on Liek's side here with the SPWs, with the Fallschirmjägers. Just a question, can they actually strike on something, or can Tanner, with the help of the recon, kind of kite them from afar?
Yeah, the containment, the offensive here that we're seeing can be contained pretty easily, and so which is why this is very risky. If if aircraft manage to get a good bombing run here, if something kills at least one of the Strelas, a group of Cobras could come and rocket this grouping down very fast. So, but and this is really Liek is really playing. Playing with some basically hoping that Tanner doesn't have a tank in the exact position that Tanner has a tank right now. So Tanner has spotted that there is something here. Don't know if they specifically recognize the Fallschirmjägers, but I'm sure that they can guess that. The Eyehawk immediately getting a hit against the MiG-23. This is one of the better AT planes.
Oh, at the same time though, the
one.
Ranger leader gets spotted in the north. The KPV getting some hits onto the Ranger leader that tries to go into the rear zone. And Tanner has just moved the commander around. Liek has forgotten about his own recon unit, so it was actually firing from its spawn position there. But the SPW, oh, it doesn't have an MG, right? The SPW leader doesn't have an MG on top, so the Ranger leader actually might get the points here in the rear zone. Whilst Lima is under siege, but the Fallschirmjägers get pushed back here. and Tanner moves around into Lima as well to get the capture there. Moves a sneaky CV around to get towards Zulu too. And yeah, the Fallschirmjäger's not quick enough to be able to react here. And Tanner will get the tick up soon here.
So the Fallschirmjägers have just been thoroughly contained. The Tanner's recon spotted them, Tanner's tank engaged them, and afterwards the Fallschirmjägers have been staying still there. Tanner bought 2 Vet 1 mech rifles low here, and to defend, as well as an M110. The M110 is firing at the front of the front of the forest here, showing Liek that this attack has now been spotted and that Tanner has the capacity to destroy it. No, they haven't lost any of the Fallschirmjägers here, but they're in a completely awful tactical situation, and I'm really gonna be a problem is for Liek here to actually try to get some value out of these units. Might actually even want to retreat with them.
Yeah, T-55s coming in. The CV that tried to sneak into Zulu for Tanner didn't get a full capture. SBW of Liek also was around to really quickly retake the point here now. And that will reduce it to a +1, which will be gone away as well as the Mi-24 in the north. Also saved the SBW, so it's not even 100 points of lead here, so it wouldn't be a victory for Tanner if the game ends now. It would still be a draw, so Tanner needs to push more for victory, as if it's a draw in the end, Liek has the advantage in this game. Well, Liek will get a 3-1 victory in the series, so Liek would be fine with a draw.
Yeah, Liek's passivity on the urban side of the area made it so that Tanner wasn't punished at all for not having any AA, barely having any recon, and not having any defenses on the urban areas. But Liek's this mix of a very risky attack on a pretty mediocre location, frankly, and then complete passivity on the area in which people generally underinvest, has made it so that 5 minutes in, the Tanner has really good positions and Liek is kind of being forced to retreat. Maybe with the arrival of these mortars to do some smoke gameplay, the Fallschirmjägers might start moving up here again. Personally, I think that if you're going to rush with Fallschirmjägers, it would be better to go to the suburban area north of Lima instead of the forests east of Lima, or at least have some units on the both of these areas, because the Tanner, the place in which Tanner put the M60 tank is just a very predictable place for people to hold because it's so powerful. And yeah, right now we're seeing that we're seeing the game kind of grind to a halt with both of these players trying to scale and scale and scale and gain themselves a good engagement. But the 8th Infantry has so much more potential to scale with so many more better units.
Yeah, M110 being reactivated here for some more action. Mech rifles trying to push forward, trying to deal, but the Fallschirmjägers, higher veterancy and better position there, pushes them back. Whilst Liek is trying to get into that town now that you were talking about, trying to get a bit of a positional advantage that way. Motschützen pushing into mech rifle in the center. At the same time, though, Tanner trying to outflank Liek in the south here. And the Conquerors actually running exactly where the M110 was pre-aiming at. And the M110 gets the kill there. Conquerors gets pushed out. And Liek loses another important anti-tank unit that, against the mechanized warfare that 8th most likely is going to throw at you here, is a pretty important unit.
Yeah, so the smokes are landing into the predictable location, but really the momentum here has been completely taken away from the division that kind of requires the momentum. Mech rifles are pushing further down east, and they will find out that the forests for the units in the forests east of Lima are no longer in an attacking position. They're kind of in a weird position with the Conquerors being being out there and mortars behind them, but the troops having repositioned elsewhere already. The really difficult to see what either of them are doing. I mean, Yuri Tanner is moving up the Mutt and some smoke to Zulu, with but without air superiority here, without taking getting rid of these PVADs, I don't think Lizak will be able to drive this Mutt off. And I think I think Lizak actually needs to have ATGMs and tanks to combat this, and that would be an investment into something that Lizak just can't really afford here. I mean, Conquerors is coming up, but the Conquerors is not going to be great at recovering.
The ARM 70 is trying to get the Mutt pushed out, then the SPW could come back, but it's pretty certain that Tanner at least will get a big enough lead here that he will force Lizak to push back into him and gain some points later on, as we are about to have the 100-point difference that decides between draw and victory coming up in a second. Mac Rifle Laws here in the middle on the fire. Fallschirmjägers pushing forward in bigger numbers as well. And the +2 here is real. So Tanner has a problem here now. Lizak has a problem here now, as he needs to get into one of the zones of Tanner and get a take going on here now, as Tanner can go on the defense here and continue using his higher cost units defensively. Fallschirmjägers now trying to push forward here. Mech Rifles, Dragon, and M113 Dragons getting shut down in the middle. So Lizak with a couple of important victories there. No CV directly behind it, but he is pushing into Lima.
Yeah, the back point of Alpha is covered by a good grouping of Tanner's units, including a Tow Cobra. This Tow Cobra can actually get some free kills here, because all the Strela 2s are too far behind of the FS Jaegers. But this engagement of the Fallschirmjägers attacking to the point at Lima, they're engaging larger squads of mech rifles that are already in a building. So it's an inefficient attack, if anything. Tanner even bringing out Zero Vet M1 Abrams, the base models. And on this matchup, the base model is very powerful, of course, and the availability that you get with a single card of base vet Abrams is really nice also.
Cobras coming around in numbers as well. F-16 got killed off by Lizak, so Lizak a step closer to air superiority, which is pretty important and pretty key as fourth, as you have some strong strike aircraft. And we see the Strela 10Ms here pushing forward towards the Cobras, trying to force them out here as well. Strela 2s slowly pushing in there as well. Fallschirmjägers with their RPG-7 getting a bit closer there in the middle as well. SPW has to be careful as it tries to retake the zone here. M60 goes down. Luckily, the M901 does miss against the SPW, so Lizak most likely gonna capture the full point. And Tanner on a +2 lead, but losing a couple of units here in the south now as well. Seaplane gets the Eyehawk. Seaplane gets the kill onto a Recon OH as well, but gets shut down by the Pivot and the Stinger. Oh, that is unfortunate. The Pivot dealing 5 damage and the Stinger getting a hit even though it's stressed out. Okay, that and on the Seaplane with high ECM, so Tanner pretty lucky there in the end.
Yeah, so now Lizak has moved their troops to build up a concave against Lima, which is the way that this should be done, I think. The Lizak's troops, if you look at the Einsatzgruppe that's covering, almost threatening the reinforcement line, having units in this position can allow you to cut out reinforcements and attack in different directions, and it's really difficult to get rid of units that are in the suburban area north of Lima because of the tight packing of different buildings. Yeah. And having those units out there, and if the fourth moto manages to build up some kind of a mechanized force up the road here, they could work very, very well in tandem. But so far, with Tanner already having the supremacy in tanks, having the M60s and the M1 Abrams out here, with the squadron of Tow Cobra supported by a recon chopper, I don't think I think Tanner is very prepared to face a large amount of spammed T-55s or BMP-1s or whatever the fourth is bringing out.
At the same time, infantry position of Tanner in the south has been broken, but a decent amount of units were able to escape. So at least the rear zone of Liek currently not threatened anymore there. So Liek can focus on getting some points of his own. Arm 17, pretty important key unit for doing this. It can kill off enemy AA positions, it can kill off enemy infantry plops, it can push enemy tanks out of a annoying forest. But the latest salvo there did decent damage. It didn't quite swing the balance around
Well, no,
just yet, though.
that salvo made sure that nothing's going to drive out the FS Jaeger. Any engagement that the FS Jaegers are taking, they're going to kill the fire team. So that was a big success there, giving more time for Lizek to reinforce the position and forcing Tanner to wait and buy more infantry before they can challenge this area again. Though Tanner's artillery getting a good hit against the Fallschirmjäger right after it gets spotted.
Yeah, M60 is also with the side angle here, stopping Sicherung, stopping Strelas from getting into Lima over the direct route. The smoke blocked the closer angle, but the long angle still worked for the M60s here. And the Fallschirmjägers can't push into the mech rifles on their own. They need more support. Another ARM 70 coming around, another MiG-23 AT coming around, hunting down the tow cobras in the south. That would be a nice kill, but the IHawk has something to say about that. Second IHawk shot coming in. That one does miss, so MiG-23 at least will make it out alive, but it wasn't able to shoot down anything. And the M110 coming in with another shot, coming towards the Fallschirmjäger in the center, as Liek is trying to find an angle here to get some more points on the scoreboard.
So Lizek attacking the back point of Alpha finally, bringing out a bunch of Motorschütz and SVD squads, which are the anti-infantry specialists for the East Germans, and sending out a Mi-24, which is currently gotten stun locked by the PVADs. No, it's not. The PVADs has also gotten stunned. Maybe just managing to land it. No, not managing to land it at the final second, but and Abrams with extra scouts getting ordered to defend Alpha here. So this might losing this single helicopter might be a bigger deal than it seems, because this has blunted the advance of Lizek's troops for a moment.
Yeah, he gets a kill to the F-16 though, so the air dominance is still growing towards Liek, bringing in 2 cubes into the center there now as well. And losing the helicopters is annoying, but those are Mi-24Ds, they are replaceable. They are not the best Hinds out there, but they come with 2 per card, and that is pretty helpful. The M110 trying to help out against more infantry, but Liek is now pushing towards Lima. The thing that is missing here though is a CV unit, and the smoke is starting in front of the Fallschirmjägers, but anything to deal with the M60s or M1A1 would be great, and there's nothing like that around here right now. Planes could maybe do the job, but outside of that, I'm not sure how you deal with the tanks around you here.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really reliably deal with as long as the IHawks are out there, and if you want to have if you want to challenge the IHawks, you have to buy the seed, and that might be the last. I mean, that is probably the last seed. I doubt that they can take 2 cards and forth. So there's a single seed plane left, and a bunch of the AT planes have already been lost. So sending out and taking more risky engagements against the IHawks is probably not the best idea here. The Conquerors managing to get a shot against the M60s, but missing, with the M60s realizing this and running back off. Might be that the SPW leader will be able to drive in there, as the M60s have been smoked off, but an Abrams is already firing at the Sicherungs in the front, and there's nothing that can engage back for the East Germans. So this is a pure smoke hold operation, if anything.
And we have supply runs coming in for the mech rifles so that they can go back there, they can go push it out as infantry. Fire Team 84 is in the north of the whole situation as well. And in the meantime, the Arm 70 is currently not firing. They are reloading though, so they could be pretty important. More T-55s coming in, more Modschützen. And Liek needs to catch up at least another 100 points, 100 something points here to make it at least a draw again. And he's going to try that now with the SPW. I'm pretty certain he will get some more points. The question is, how many more points can he get before his SPW gets pushed out again? Oh, and the SPW actually doesn't move in there. realizing that an M1 Abrams is north of the road as well. So yeah, the move would be relatively risky. UWATS and Vulture Medis under fire there, getting pushed back any second now, most likely. There we go. And Liek still without any more points on the board right now.
Yeah, this. I mean, looking at this, fourth Moto is a pretty good division to play on Hesse because you can start out strong infantry openers, and then you can keep on reinforcing these strong infantry openers with the SPW 70 transported and supported infantry. East Germans, of course, are better than other people, which means that they have resolute. They take less suppression in combat. Basically, all of their troops do, and so there are like and they're pretty affordable, and with enough support, if you get rid of the expensive American infantry squads and the tanks, the fourth Moto could absolutely hold their own here. But fourth Moto can't hold their own without securing something in the opener. And at this point, we're seeing what it means after 20 minutes of kind of waiting and skirmishing around and not having any decisive movements. We're seeing the reinforcements of T-55s on one side and of M1 Abrams on the other side. Not to mention this group of tow cobras that will be able to move in at any point of the map if there is a kind of a breakthrough or attempt of spamming tanks or recon vehicles or whatever. So the Tanner is just truly prepared for all of this, and even Tanner's infantry is generally brought on with the M113A3 Dragons, which have both the dragons to give some take out the SPWs and the light tanks, but also the 50 caliber machine guns, the extremely powerful 50 caliber machine guns.
Yeah, M113A3 Dragon pushing towards the Vulture Makers there. We have the push out of the northern staff. The CV went down. It went into the zone for a couple of seconds, but it didn't really get many points, and Tanner got back with their own CV, getting it recaptured, and now Liek has a lot of units in front of Tanner, but Tanner has a strong defensive line here now. Arms 70s really need to do some real work here now to break it, and Tanner really with strong maneuvering here, ending up with the point advantage early on, even with the forward deploy advantage going into Liek's favor, as Liek's units were just stuck a bit too long in the middle of nowhere, not really gaining much, and Tanner rotating around them, grabbing a couple of points, grabbing a couple of spots with some units in the rear, and is now in the lead, forces Liek to attack, and Liek's division is just the way lighter version, and that is a problem for sure.
Yeah, so there's so many positions where you can start out doing infantry aggro on Hesse, but Liek really chose the one place in which the infantry have to go forwards or not do anything. I really think that deployment right there was just very short-sighted, and I think if I think even if Tanner hadn't completely neglected the back point of Alpha, sending in the FS Jaegers to threaten Alpha and to force Tanner to keep fighting an infantry fight in which supporting units by Liek could be put to ensure that these fights would go decently. That could have actually happened, but when you sacrifice the forward deployment advantage in a kind of a very bad attack, that's just not you're gonna see the 8th player safely scale into whatever we are seeing right now.
Yeah, SPWs here rotating around, mech rifles getting some shot up, Vulture Makers going down. Once we have some T-55s in the north moving in, mech rifle Dragon there under fire by T-55s. T-55s doing some decent damage around there and helping out against the mech rifles, but they're coming in so late. Like, Tanner by now has so much stuff in there, and the seed plane here now rotating around, not getting anything killed, as Tanner is ready for that, and the helicopter is now coming up north. Strela 10M's not in a spot really to help out against the tow cobras, so the T-55s have to rely on a single Strela 2, and that's not good enough, and Tanner just has enough points here now to invest into the north as Liek ran out of steam here in the south. So Tanner just needs to hold this one and then go from there, as Liek is exhausting himself.
Yeah, Liek has the seed out right now, but the seed didn't go in as the MiG-23 tried to take get a kill, and maybe getting a kill on the F-16 right here. But even then, every time that Liek's planes fly in and try to get on the offense, they risk getting shot at by the ubiquitous Stingers and Eyehawks.
Double kill for the AT plane of Liek though, and it got out with a sliver of health. F-16 goes down as well. So the T-55s have a bit more room in the north, but it needs a good couple more ARM-70 hits here to really do something, and they are busy holding the center here instead of helping out in the north. And that is a real problem here for Liek. 16 minutes still to go. The ARM-70s are set up, but the south is completely dominated in my eyes here by Tanner, and the north is not looking really smooth either.
Yeah, there's not a lot of. I mean, like Liek controlled well and engaged well and pushed up here, and they could probably be able to drive some of these large American infantry squads back. But could they actually survive the counterattack? Could they actually survive taking the positions while the artillery keeps firing at them? I don't necessarily think so, and I think Liek understands this, which is why we're seeing this passive gameplay coming up here. Not really not really having any good options, and which just leads to this slow build up by Tanner, who doesn't have to attack. So Tanner doesn't.
Yeah, Mac Rifle Dragons and Mac Rifle getting resupplied in the north now. Fallschirmjägers coming in there. We have a couple of M110s getting ready to deal with Fallschirmjäger Medis in the south as well. T-55s there, set up for success. Fallschirmjäger Sprengtaucher getting closer. The Medis getting hit pretty hard. Getting eliminated, and Tanner really well situated here now. It will be insanely hard for Liek to break this at this stage, as 4th just doesn't have the late game capabilities, and the only thing that could maybe do it is the ARM-70s, but you need them constantly firing, and they're currently not constantly firing.
No, they're currently holding fire. They're holding fire, waiting for maybe the current troops that are just arriving, the Motorschützen and the Siegerungs. Maybe in just a couple of seconds, we're going to see kind of a final attack from Liek. Liek having an overkill amount of Strelas here, likely knowing that the tow cobras and the bombers will be some of the most crucial units in trying to prevent this attack, and with the artillery being a second very crucial part of fighting off, because this area of Alpha is so tight, and it is such a small area. So any time the East German units get in there, they're going to be fired at the heavy howitzers. The RM-70s now launching, having Tanner moving out their troops pretty intelligently.
We get a good hit against the pivot. RM-70s trying to get the hits. Dragon actually evacuating, M113 with Dragon actually evacuating the mech rifles, and there is just not a lot of force left here for Liek. There is only the Dragons here is AT, but it's a lot of Dragons, both in the infantry and on the M113, so whilst Liek has a couple of tanks here as a kind of a tank plop coming up, they will still have a rough time. Tow Cobras ready to go in as well. There is a decent amount of AA, so I like the idea here of Liek. It just feels like it might be a bit too little here and a bit too late, and at the same time, if Tanner is pushed, Tanner might be counterattacking in the south as well, and might realize at that moment also that there is not that much here in the south, and just break through there again.
Yeah, I think Tanner's forces are basically insurance for the fact that even if Liek plays perfectly Tanner will be able to right-click all the rest of the troops. Even if Liek starts getting a bunch of kills, Tanner will be able to challenge every other position of this very wide front. And that is probably part of the reasons why Tanner is not attacking, knowing that the attacking force, that any kind of overextension for Tanner might lessen their ability to do like a game-winning counterattack at some point. So even if this might seem a bit boring, this is the correct way to play here.
Yeah, we see mech rifles going really low in the north. The Hirungs coming around for it. SPWs could help out there a bit as well. T55 M2 KR goes down in the south to M110 fire though. So that is pretty big. Mech rifles going down in the north. There is a lot of infantry. There are a lot of tanks moving. No CV close by though to capture the north point. There is an SPW in the rear zone, but it should already start moving up here now, because if Liek gets in here, it might only be for a couple of seconds or minutes, and that time he has to use to really grab some points here, as that could help out at least getting into draw distance, and that would be good enough. Like, Liek doesn't need a win here. Liek just needs another 128 points here to get into the draw distance and stop Tanner from winning the game outright.
Okay, so now Tanner is maybe moving up these forces south of Lima. If these forces move up to the open, they're going to be easy pickings for the T-55 AM2s. The AM2s have the hyper-modernized fire control system, which gives them really good accuracy and long range. Now, but so far they are still holding on the edge with letting the Tow Cobras do the attack here. Tow Cobras, no Strellas out here, and Tow Cobras immediately, smartly running back.
Yes, Strela's really helpful. T-55 AM2s coming around, but no CV here coming up for Liek. He could potentially already put one into the edge of the zone, especially with some potential smoke. M1 Abrams rotating around on the side. Mech rifles going down. The Tow Cobras still hold their position, but AA has pushed up towards them now as well. M1 Abrams actually getting hit up north, but the T-55's in a bad spot. Tow Cobras getting fired upon, but T-55's now falling in numbers, and the Strela's now under fire as well, in trouble as well. T-55's rolling in, but there's so many dragons there running into the T-55 Ace, stunning them down. M1's doing a fantastic job there too. T-55's going down.
Oh, the M1.
He gets the Abrams, but so many ATGMs here.
Yeah, this is and where is the leader? The leader is only coming in the T-55 with this attack. There should have been a leader right on the reserve, making sure that any kind of breakthrough could be immediately exploited. Now these points are just not taken. Another Rangers leader getting spotted by the Aufklärer, maybe trying to get into the back point, the urban back point here. So far, Tanner, all of the M1, the Dragons, all of them get taken out by this the RM70, and suddenly the small amounts of troops that have been gotten into the point at Alpha are there for the moment. The smoke is covering them from attacks down south, with the Abrams being able to take some hits and the ITOs. But there's still the infantry superiority here is still with the Americans, at least for the moment, until these latest reinforcements will be able to move up here. Losing all of the Dragons and all of the potential HE damage of the machine guns is a really big deal, because that means that the infantry will be able to get into positions and will be able to get into buildings, and where they're really difficult to get rid of.
Yeah, we also see the Ranger leader now landing in the rear, getting some more points. So far, Tanner hasn't pulled the trigger in the south yet. MiG-21 goes down in that fight. The T-55 still not in the zone either, though. And the Ranger leader lost its Black Orc, but they got into the zone. They got a +1. They get a couple more annoying points here. Ranger leader getting actually hit pretty hard there by the MiG-23 and the BMP-1s. So it goes down before it can get too many more extra points. But Liek needs more here. The CV needs to move in now It is pushing forward. Mech Rifles and Modschützen fighting in the town, and the fire support.
The AT plane manages to destroy one M60 and rout another one as they were stun locked by the RM70.
Oh, but M1 has a side shot. It does miss the T-55 as it is stressed out. That could have been devastating. Cluster bombers coming in though, and they get the kill.
Oh no!
Oh no! Another CV needs to move forward, but no CV is around right now. Liek is struggling. The F-16 will make it out alive. SPW now is called forward. Okay, it is on the move now. We see some smoke mortars for the south. Trying to set up something towards X-ray here potentially. 7 minutes still around. The T-55 is pushing potentially too deep here though, as there are still some infantry units here left with AT.
No. The mech rifles law ran out of AT weapons firing at the front armor of the T-55, and the rest of the tanks are under minimum range for the Dragons.
Not all of them though,
not all
as
of them. Yeah, not all of
there
them.
are more angles. The mech rifle leader has AT as well, so the T-55s get picked off. 2 down, third one most likely down in the second here, and yeah, that is not a great trade. New CV with the SPW still trying to sneak in there. Mech rifle leader still a thing as well. Armed 70s. Out of ammo, one of them at least, the other one reloading now. Whilst the SPW needs to get in here, but the mech rifle leader still being in there is a problem, as that means it's only a +1, and a +1 means only 40 points per minute, so it will still take a good while to get in the 200 points necessary for a draw here, or 150 points necessary for a draw here, more than 3 minutes.
Two BMP-1s managed to suppress and disable the M1 Abrams. The tank fights here going, the veterancy of the Abrams, despite being technologically superior in every way, the morale of the Abrams going down repeatedly has made them way less combat effective. And right now here, okay, no more AT weapons equipped mech rifles are in the zone now, but some infantry reinforcement have already gotten in here. This where is the artillery? The artillery is actually currently aiming for Tanner, but they're aiming at random Strela 10s on the backlines. They're not aiming right at the front here.
Yes, and we have a smoke play from Liek in the south that could get the zone captured there as well. There is no CV around there for Tanner, so if Liek gets in there...
No! The SPW-70 right after the smoke crashes. The TOW 2 manages to get a hit in there. Oh no, that is catastrophic. Is there a second leader anywhere behind this?
There is nothing in the north, but the leader in the south is the important part right now. The north actually is just a side field now. The south is the interesting part, and there is a mech rifle leader there for Tanner, but it is pretty far away. He could use another transport for it. Mud CV rolling south as well, as the SPW has made it into the zone. The MR10s should fire into the corner where the smoke is at, as Liek is closing in on points, and is closing in on points soon, somewhat quickly, with a +2. Sicherungs will get pushed out. Cluster F-16 coming in as well. Can it find the kill? No, it can't. Good move there by Liek, dodging the cluster. Cobras flying over there as well. M109 trying to find an angle. The smoke mortars and the RM70 still around. Sicherungs still somehow surviving against the M1 as well, so it might be a dangerous thing here to come in for the Mud as well. Mud moving in now. Conquerors from the north. Oh, if that can find the kill, that would be pretty big. It does miss.
No.
Sicherungs still around. Mech rifle helping out from the north now, getting rid of the Conquerors. Tanner could drive into Echo as well. We have 4 minutes remaining. If Tanner has another CV, driving towards Echo just through the middle and into Bravo is absolutely viable too. Cobras now rolling over everything in the south. Tanner realizing that this game is about to go about the points, and he is about to be able to deal with that in a second. Mech Rifle Dragons versus SPW there in the fog. M1 getting shot. PLRA getting damaged as well. The Mech Rifle leader needs a transport. One of the M35 that is going back to base should just pick up that Mech Rifle leader right now. Tanner not with the perfect micro all around all of this. The smoke mortars are the next target for the TOW Cobras most likely though, and then the smoke screen will eventually fall. Tanner just running by here right now, going for capturing the other side, and then potentially coming back. But the Mech Rifle leader not being picked up. It's 3 minutes still, so Tanner should still be able to get up to a tick, but it is about to go into the area where there's a draw.
Yeah,
And there is a lot of AT guns, so the Mud actually might not even survive here. Okay, smoke from Tanner helping out there. Or is that HE? No, that is smoke. Yeah, that is smoke. The SPW running around.
doing some amazing fucking juke ass shit with the SPW. The SPW 40 is moving out and trying to get into a different position, spotting out the mech rifles leader and getting spotted by the Ito. Oh no, that was so close to.
Oh, plus the MiG-27 also trying to help out against the Mud. Mud gets the capture. Tanner needs to get a CV in some point now. M35 picked up the mech rifle leader finally, but it's not moving right now. Tanner has 2 more minutes. Mud CV actually coming back. The mech rifle leader, yeah, going in there now as well. And that should secure it, as in the north, no CV coming in for Liek. Liek could have gotten it if a CV would have come in for the north, but nothing is moving in there. No CV for the south either. It seems like Liek might be out of CV for good here. Otherwise, the lack of CVs at this point is questionable, and we have a surrender here as Liek realizes that he won't be able to get the points, and Tanner gets the W here in game number 2 and gets the draw.
Yeah, I mean, at least in the end, there was so many situation when if Liek just had a couple of extra leaders, they could have absolutely kept up the tick for a little bit further. I think so. Liek in the chat said that this was the 5th time that or 4th or 5th time that they actually played this map. So the forward deployment opener getting kind of messed up is probably because of this. And of not having enough experience doing the aggro on this map. Of course, it's always easier to defend on maps than do aggro on them, and 4th Moto necessitates some amount of aggro. And yeah, despite the very wild ending here, I think the stronger division in the late game was obviously 8th, and we saw that in the 8th when Tanner had all of the machines whirring and everything was going. Despite this, Liek was managed to get some really good engagements, generally by either by using the smokes to block out the and get preferential engagements, or just doing the old-fashioned the tactic of smoking the enemy zones and driving the SPW 40 in there. Very big props to microing the SPW 40 inside the enemy zone while 2 different squads were looking for it and managing to completely juke them. I really think so Liek here, I think with some map knowledge and some further experience, very very promising to be able to challenge these Tanner late game blobs here. Wouldn't have thought that they were capable of doing that at this point.
Yeah, really interesting game. 4th there, coming back with good ARM-70 pushes and so on, but Tanner's KD in the end just a bit too good. The early game there just going a bit too well for the player in blue. And yeah, that leaves us with a lot of draws in this group. Tanner versus SnowWolfie a draw, Tanner versus Liek a draw, SnowWolfie versus Blitz War a draw. So we have so far 4 games, 4 draws. So this group really, really hot, really, really interesting, and everything's still open. And we will get to the decisions in the end. That is really exciting. It shows how high the quality in Division 2 is as well, and how everybody can beat everybody. And that is nice to see. And we will see how it will perform here. Czesk still has to show up. We will see how our German player number 2 in this group will do. Yes. Coming in as from the other direction, Tanner coming from Division 1, Czesk coming from Division 3 as the winner. So that should be pretty hot here.
Yeah, personally, really looking forward for Czesk. This is really Czesk's time to shine. Czesk has developed a lot of potential. I believe Czesk managed to rank up to Division 2 from Division 3 last season.
Yeah, as the winner of Division 3.
So this is gonna be the moment, Czesk. You know what you need to do. You need to win your group with all of these people getting losses. Just get a couple of wins under your belt, and suddenly the amount of lifting that is gonna do your ego to be immediately your Group A Division 2 leader. Just imagine that.
And yeah, thanks for the follow there, Cryonics. And yeah, we will have a lot of more WARNO League coming to you next week. And that will be exciting. For now, we will end the WARNO stream here for today. I might go back into some Rule the Waves later tonight. And I will be on a Linkin Park concert tomorrow, so no streams there. But maybe some streams over at your channel tomorrow, Chloride?
Yeah, tomorrow I do actually have stuff to do because I'm currently casting during the time that I should be doing my schoolwork. So, well, let's see if there are gonna be streams tomorrow. They're not gonna take more than 2 to 3 hours, but who knows? If you wanna post some of the games at me, I might be able to cast them tomorrow, though.
Yeah, so check out Chloride's channels, everybody, if you haven't done so yet, for some more WARNO content and some more interesting deep talks about politics and society as well. Check out that channel. And
So 2 hour debates about Israel.
and yeah, for now, we're gonna send you over to... Is Vulcan just started a stream? Yes, Vulcan just started a stream of a game that I'm insanely hyped for. Sea Power Naval Combat in the Missile Age. So let's check that out. As I'm really excited for it.
And also, if people are interested in more WARNO content, Icarus, just an hour ago, Icarus_Halo is a top level 1v1 player, also streaming right now.
So yeah, a lot of good content out there still, guys. Might see you later with some Rule the Waves, but for now, I have to head out. So see you all around.